What is going on, everybody? How we doing today? As usual, hope we're doing well. What's going on, Zachary Barrett? What's going on, OP? Baja Candle? No way as well. How we doing? Hold on, I gotta sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Man, anyway. Uh, yeah, so I fucked up. I scheduled the stream. It was supposed to be at 9:30. It's pretty much 9:30 now. It's 9:27. But Zach hit me up in my Discord. He hit up the Discord and he was like, "Hey, is the stream supposed to be going? Or is there some kind of problem?" And I was like, "Uh-oh, whoops, whoopsies, whoops, whoopsies, oops, whoopsies." Um, yeah, I forgot to schedule the time, so it. Oh, geez, excuse me. I'm still reeling from those sneezes. It automatically set the time for the time that I was scheduling the stream. So, whoops. Sorry about that. So, if you've been here a while, I just want to say thanks for waiting. Thanks for waiting. What's going on, Baja Candle? What's going on, Smart Moron? Hope you're doing well. I already said hello to Baja Candle, but you know what? Have another, sir. I've been trying to figure out what's up with my audio. I've been getting a little bit of a static sound in the background. And as someone who's not an audio guy, at all, it's it's just I don't know shit, man. I don't know nothing about anything. But yeah, so I went to the beach today. I had a really good time at the beach. It's part of the reason why I was like a little bit late, because usually I would stream at 9, but by the time I got home and ate dinner, I wasn't going to be able to make it. And then that's also part of the reason why I screwed up the time, is because I was a little bit I still am a little bit drained from the beach. Um excuse me, I look like a giraffe, dude. Like I'm not gonna show you guys too much, but like I don't know how well you can see, but like you see my arm, how many freckles are on it? That's a lot more freckles than usual. I'll say that much. That's a lot more than usual. Um, dude, what the hell? I sneezed twice and now I have a runny nose. What the hell's going on here? Um, but yeah, like I didn't get a sunburn. I got a sunburn on my feet actually because I didn't put any sunscreen on my feet like some kind of idiot. But other than that, I didn't get a sunburn. I don't even have that bad of a sunburn on my feet. It just is what it is. And yeah, I had a good time though. I'm not really a beach guy because for one thing, I don't tan, I burn. But then in addition to that, I'm not the strongest swimmer. I can swim, but it's just not something I have a shit ton of experience with. So because of that, like I'm just not a swimmer, is what it is. I'm just not a swimmer. Sun be killing these white boys. Exactly, exactly. What's going on, Shoju's space? What's going on, Soju X Ghoul? I could have swore it was Shoju the space ghoul at one point. But what's going on, man? I'm doing all right. How are you doing? Watching on Twitch, tuning in on Twitch.com. Thank you very much. Um, oh, excuse me. They're counting rice on Mexatank. Is that what we're calling it? Is Mexatank? Yeah, like I didn't know what was going on. I just saw fish tank accounts, like not like official fish tank accounts, but I saw accounts on Twitter that are usually looking into, or not looking into, but usually tweeting about fish tank. They're all of a sudden tweeting about uh some Mexicans doing their thing, and I thought that was funny. I thought that was amusing. It's very clear. Like as soon as I saw the as soon as you saw the trailer for it, as soon as you saw the trailer for it, you knew, oh, this is Fish Tank fans who wanted to do the same thing, but for like Latinos instead. It's not a bad idea. It's a proven way to make money. People will watch this. And the thing is, not everybody in Latin American countries also understands English. So there is a market there. So it's not a bad idea on their part at all. But god damn it, why don't they learn English? Um, but yeah, I'm curious as to what's gonna happen with that. I mean, I don't speak Spanish that well, so I don't think I can watch a ton of it. But I'm sure there's gonna be somebody out there who's like, hey, let's translate the tips. The tips, the clips. Let's translate the clips. Let's touch the tips and translate the clips. and we'll probably see some crazy shit going on. Um, I changed it to switch my Twitter handle. Ah, I understand. Also, I need to get in contact with Mexatank to see if I can shit test them. Oh yeah, fucking. I'm not sure who these guys are. Maria, mad cute. Yeah, that's another thing. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at the let's take a look at the contestants and see which ones I would be willing to do bits with. Fucking a. What oh yeah, fuck. It's like in Concho or something like that. I translated it and it's the pond. So the English name is the pond.live. Excuse me. In Concho or something like that. No. You know what? Fuck it. Estanque. Yes, El Estanque. Fuck. I don't know where Encancho came from. That's because I was listening to a song earlier by Bad Bunny, and he said something that sounded like that. I don't even know if that's a real word or if that's exactly what he said, you know. But yes, El Estanque. El Estanque. You're oh, oh, I can switch it to English if I so choose. Let's um not 9.99 USD. Ooh, man, you guys are it's pretty pricey for you people, isn't it? Isn't it's pretty pricey for you guys, isn't it? Um, nah, I mean, I'm like I'm not gonna pay for something that I'm not gonna be able to understand, you know. But I am curious about the what is El Estanque contact? Yeah, I figured I'd take a look at it just to see if we could find the people associated with it, but um maybe yes, okay. Um I'm looking to see if there's yeah, this is I'm looking to see if there is any sort of like list of contestants and things like that, you know? I knew those 12 years of Spanish would come in handy one day. Yeah, I took 7 years of Spanish, and I don't like. Here's the thing: we're getting more and more Spanish speakers in my area, but we're also still continuing to get more and more uh, Portuguese speakers in my area. The thing is, like, Massachusetts doesn't care if as long as you're not white, you can come here, and they're gonna welcome you with open arms. And because of that, we still get a ton of Brazilians, a ton of Puerto Ricans. I guess Dominicans are coming here in droves as well. We also get Haitians, but the majority where I grew up was Brazilians and Haitians, and Haitians can understand French. And the thing is, like, Portuguese speakers can understand a lot of Spanish, but it's not the exact same thing. It's extremely similar, but not similar enough to be the exact same thing. So because of that, it was kind of weird that they were like, yeah, you're gonna learn Spanish, even though everybody around you speaks Portuguese. So you're gonna learn that shit, and then you're immediately not gonna use it again, and then you're just gonna move on with your life, and that's 7 years of your life wasted. You could have been doing something a lot better with that, but this is the public school system, so you can eat shit. Um, Now I'm trying to learn Portuguese, and if I had learned Portuguese, if I was forced to learn, because we're all forced to learn in the state of Massachusetts, we're forced to learn a foreign language from the seventh grade up, and then some towns they're like, hey, we'll start a little bit earlier. You know, I can remember like the third and fourth grade, my cousins who were from a different town, they were learning like some basic Spanish and basic French and stuff like that. But my school system, you had a choice between Spanish and French. Then when you got to high school, you could do Latin. I did Latin for 2 years. The first year I loved it. The second year I was having some issues, so because of that, I had to drop it. Not issues with the learning necessarily, issues with just being in school, you know. Um, and they also added Mandarin. It was either my junior or senior year. You could do Mandarin Chinese. My junior and senior year. I don't know if they still have it. They probably do, but excuse me. Um, Again, like the amount of Portuguese speakers in my town, in my hometown, has only grown since then. And it was a lot of them. And I mean a fucking lot of them, whether it was Cape Verdeans or if it was like Brazilians or even just straight up Portuguese people. But they still don't have Portuguese. You know, I'm trying to learn Portuguese now, and that's why I'm kind of like, that was fucking bullshit, because I would be so much better with it now, and I'd actually be able to speak directly with my mother-in-law, you know? But yeah, the Spanish that I learned, I can understand here and there, but other than that, I'm like, ugh, you know. Mumu de Google de soprasal. Obrigado. Fucking. There is no contestant list. I checked. Ah, okay. Um. Excuse me. Even the Discord link with the page does not work. Ah, okay. Well, they're all Chinamen, says Bonjour Skeet. Sombrero tank. Yeah, taco tank. Taco tank. What the fuck, man? Burrito tank. Whatever. I think I started in the second grade. It's hard to remember. Yeah, yeah. Some schools just like um. At first I was like, why do we gotta learn a fucking foreign language, dude? But now like I'm fascinated with language. Language is something that I've kind of become fascinated with over the last like 10 years of my life. And it's a situation where like you know, like I think learning other languages is good. Like when I have kids in my jujitsu class and their parents come from other places. Like I got a kid in my class who he's half Polish and half Haitian. Like literally, like his mom is from Poland, his dad is from Haiti, and they met in America and they got married and they stayed here, you know? And it's like the kid doesn't know. I mean, he knows a little bit of Polish. I would assume he's probably trying to learn more, but I don't think he knows any Haitian Creole either. And it's like, dude, why wouldn't you learn both of those? You have a native speaker in your house, you know? Um, or like we got kids who like, you know, their parents are from Colombia and things like that, and it's like, why don't you know more Spanish? Why don't you learn better Spanish, dude? You got two speakers in your house, they can help you along, you know. It is a little bit taxing though, I will say, as someone who and I mean, I'm 30 years old and I'm talking to my wife. Like if my wife randomly because it's never like, if there's one thing I've learned, it's that when you ask somebody to do something, they're never going to do it when you want them to. It's only going to be at the most inconvenient time. What's going to happen is like, I'm going to be in a bad mood and I'm going to be like, baby. And she's going to be like, o que você quer? And I'm going to be like, shut the fuck up with that. What are we doing for dinner? like that's the type of shit that's going to happen. So in my case, it's like I could be like, hey, just speak to me in Portuguese randomly, but I think my wife is kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna do that, and you're gonna be like not in the mood for it, and you're gonna be like, dude, just fucking speak English, and I'm not gonna keep doing that. You know, like that's probably why she doesn't do that. But like I do ask every now and again, like, how do you say this? How do you say that? What did you say there? You know, like things like that, and I'm learning bit by bit by bit. It also helps that I'm going to, what's going on, Cherry Blossom, on Twitch.tv, I believe it was, not com. Anyway, I'm going to church again. It's a Catholic church, but they have services in Portuguese that I am going to. So that's going to help, because for an hour a week, I'm going to be put in front of a guy who is speaking Portuguese, and I'm not going to be like, not that it's like an A-B conversation, you know, a Catholic service, but I'm not going to be able to be like, what did you mean? What are you saying? Speak English? I'm not going to be able to do that, you know? Um, Pue pluck? Pue da pluck. These are common phrases my sexy 24-year-old Mandarin spy teacher taught me in freshman year. She's probably talking dirty to you, Bonjour Skeet. She's probably talking dirty to you. There were never any other options, scheduling or budget wise, besides Italian 1 year in high school. Italian's a good language to learn, you know, even though like you're not going to be able to use it a ton. I think Italian's an interesting language. Excuse me, but yeah, like language is interesting to me, and it's not just like learning languages, it's understanding languages. Like I was talking to my wife earlier today, right? And the word the in Spanish is el, right? Or la, right? But the masculine word is for the is el, right? um Portuguese doesn't have that. The masculine word, the masculine version of the is o, right? So that's a slight difference between them. And the reason why that difference exists is because Portugal was actually declared a kingdom. It was a Christian nation before Spain existed. Spain was still being conquered, or it was still conquered by the Muslims at that time. And it was conquered for long enough as to where that cultural exchange happened, where the word al in Arabic languages, or whatever Arabic language they spoke, seeped into Spanish. You know, the word al in Arabic languages, or specifically like that kind of Arabic, I forget exactly what the term for it is, but it could just be Arabic. I forget. But the term literally means the. You know, that's what Al Qaeda means. It means the base. You know, Al Assad from the Call of Duty games. It's the Assad, you know, al Baghdadi, right? Like the guy, basically the guy from Baghdad is my understanding of it anyway. I'm not like an expert on that language, but I know that al in some, and if not all contexts, means the, right? And Spanish, because the Spanish spent so much time being conquered by those Arabic speaking people, it seeped in there. So now you say el farsante, you know, el perro, or whatever. You know, sometimes I can roll my r's, sometimes I can't. That's fascinating to me, though. You know, another one. There's a lot of words that are in Latin and Celtic languages and shit like that, right? Not the exact words, but like for instance, the term gladius, right, is in the Latin language, right? If you wanted to say the same thing in like Proto-Celtic, it would be gladios, right? And it's because they all came from the same Proto-Celtic, or not Proto-Celtic, but the same Indo-European language, and then branched off as time went on. I find that stuff to be very fascinating. It's very interesting to me, you know? Um, but yes, looking around. Um, Yeah, like Bonjour Skeet says, as agencias de publicidade judaicas, judaicas. Yeah, I believe it's judaicas. Tem o direito de existir, or oh no, wait, no, that's Portuguese that you're saying. That's Portuguese that you're saying. So it would be as agências de publicidade judaicas têm o direito de existir. Um, like I kind of understand what you're saying there. I kind of understand what you're saying, but I'm not confident enough to be like, this is what you're saying. You know, I at least understand what different words are. You know, and a lot of it is because it's um what is it, cognates. There's cognates. You know, I'll I'll Baghdadi. I'll Baghdadi. Al Andalus is how Spain used to be called during Muslim rule. I see. I didn't know about that. But yeah, like I had no clue about that, and that's something cool when it comes to language. The way I see it is like you have situations where you can actually tell the history of a people or a nation, via like little things like that, you know. And that's something else that I heard recently, is that like, and it makes sense, you know. A civilization is not going to have a word for something that it doesn't have. So the fact that like the word bow in what's it called, um Irish, excuse me, like Gaelic, but it's also Bow and Irish. Exists implies that they had farming and cattle, right? They were agrarian to some degree, because if they didn't have cattle, if they didn't have farming, they probably wouldn't have a word for cow, right? Um, and then like that's another blah blah blah. That's another cognate as well. Like, I just want to make sure, right? I just want to make sure that okay. Yeah, so again, like boss bois. The V doesn't make a V noise. They don't have a V noise in Latin. The V makes a W noise. So it's boss or bos bois. What's it called? Ox, steer, cow, right? It's interesting. It's interesting to see stuff like that. Everything's interconnected. You know, um, Europe is one tribe. Europe is one people separated into a bunch of different tribes, and you can see that based off of the languages and things like that, and obviously there were different cultures that formed and all this other stuff, that's just the way that it is. But we really did come from one people, and that's why I think that you should give a shit if you're English and you see what's going on in Ireland, or if you're Irish and you see what's going on in England, even with the situation between, say, like the Irish and the English. Or that's why an Italian should care about what's going on in Sweden, and a Swede should care about what's going on in Italy. That's one thing. Back when I gave a shit about politics, back when I was like a politics guy and stuff like that, way before I even started this channel. I feel like I talk about politics too much here sometimes. I don't want to be Mr. Politics guy, but it just kind of happens naturally at times. But like, back when I was Mr. Politics guy, the biggest thing that pissed me off was seeing unironic, like, Nordic people talking shit on Italians, or like, the Irish talking shit on the English in an unironic way, in a way that wasn't just meant to bust balls. Um, it's like so stupid that way, and it's because everybody wants to feel like they're the one true, and everybody else is like a copy or something like that. And it's like, no, like, we all came from the same shit, you know. Um, but yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. Scott, do you think white people have a disability regarding race-oriented attitudes? No, I mean, like, I think at the end of the day, I think at the end of the day, there are certain groups of people that had certain. I mean, look, here's the thing: everybody had certain lies pushed onto them, right? Every group had lies pushed onto them. It's just that some of those groups took the lies and they thought, oh, okay, this is the truth. And they went out into the world with that lie, not realizing that they had been lied to, and they tried to act in a way that was in accordance with that lie. And because of that, they got womped in a couple of different ways, right? And then you have other groups that were told those lies, and somehow, some way, regardless of what it is, they decided, nah, nah, right? And you could have conversations about why the groups that rejected the lies rejected them, right? There's a good conversation to be had there that I just don't think is necessary for me to have right this second, right? But because of that, they went out into the world and they were like, no, that's bullshit, and I'm not going to abide by that, right? And when they ended up seeing people who were abiding by that lie, well, I mean, they're not abiding by that lie. Therefore, they were going to act in accordance with the reality. And the reality is not only the antithesis of what that lie was, but it was also something that would allow them to have an easier time getting one over on the people who carried that lie around. I think that's really what it is, and to call it a disability would imply that it's like nobody's ever going to wake up or anything like that. I think the boomers are just the boomers. I think the millennials are just the millennials. I think the zoomers are just the zoomers, so on and so forth, right? By the way, Gen X and boomers the same thing. Gen X are just late term boomers. That's all they are. But um and I think as time goes on, what's going to happen, and it's happening right now, is people are waking up to the fact that you cannot look at the world that way, that there's always going to be someone who has something against you because of the way you look, the way you talk to people, the way you do things on a cultural level and things like that. And it's not something that you should look at and be like, oh, well, that guy sure doesn't know how to act. Well, I'm going to continue being myself. No, like you kind of have to be ready for that, and you have to be ready to fight back against it. And it doesn't mean that you have to be hateful. It doesn't mean you have to be angry or like loathsome about it. It just means you have to look at the reality. I teach people of all different races, religions, creeds, and I love all the people that I teach, but I am aware of the differences between us, and I know that there's some people who are aware of the differences between us. I can see it in their eyes. I can see it in the way that they address me and things like that. And even though I love them and or their kids or whatever, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like if it came down to it, they probably wouldn't sell me out, you know? Um, that doesn't mean that like I'm going to treat them with contempt. It doesn't mean I'm going to treat their kids with contempt. Of course not. They're kids, right? But it just means that I am aware of that fact, you know? Um, I would never allow that to color the way that I treat people in a day-to-day fashion, but I am at least aware of it, and I know not to expect help, if it makes sense what I'm saying. And I know that there's going to be cases where like they're going to bring something onto themselves. And me personally, I believe in being a better guy. I believe in trying my best to be the better person. That's something that I'm always striving to. I don't always make it there. I don't always do what in my opinion is the right thing to do, which is to not just like let people drown and shit like that. I'm not perfect, bottom line, but I always try to make sure that I'm trying to be as forgiving and merciful and as kind as I possibly can be, even to people who don't 100% deserve it all the time. So I wouldn't say that I would like sell them out or leave them out to dry, but that's not because I'm like, well, I learned back in school that Martin Luther King was like a hero, and he was the greatest guy ever. He definitely wasn't a gay communist who was cheating on his wife with men. He definitely wasn't that. No way. Um, I gotta be nice to everybody. Like it's not because of that, but for the simple fact that I'm not gonna be one of those people who become cynical. And that's something that I've been thinking a lot about lately is cynicism and how that paints everything you do. If you become a cynical person, you end up in situations where you look at somebody who's not cynical, and it's not that you assume anything bad of them, it's that you assume they're just like lame or they're an asshole or something like that. It's like like I've been feeling bad lately, right? Because I've been working out a little bit more, but I am so out of shape, dude. Like 10 to 15 minutes of medium tier exercise has me absolutely fucking winded, like I just finished a fight. That's how out of shape I am lately. And people come into my gym and I'm working out and they try and shoot the shit with me, and I'm like, dude, I can't talk right now. I'm sorry, but please, I can't talk right now. That's almost what it's like, where it's like you are just so tired, you're so jaded, you're so everything that when somebody comes to you and they're like, hey, I think you're a good dude. I like you. I like being around you. I like what you got going on. Like, let's do this shit up. And you're just sitting there like, dude, what are you, fucking lame? What, you actually want to be my friend? What are you, a loser? You want to be my friend? You fucking asshole. Like, that's the way that a lot of people are. And it disgusts me. I could easily be that way, especially with the intellect that I have and the ability that I have to read people. Like I'm not constantly trying to be Mr. Puppet Master and things like that, but believe me when I say that I can read people very, very quickly as soon as I meet them. Just the look in their eyes, the way they stand, I kind of know what they're about right away. I kind of know, like, this is the type of dude who would fuck me over if the situation presented itself. This is the kind of this person is very insecure about this. This person is the kind of person to do that. I'm very good at that kind of thing, but I don't whip that out every 2 seconds because I don't want to be a cynical piece of shit, you know? It's easy to be a cynical piece of shit. And it feels more comfortable to be that way. And in order to be the best that you can be, in order to be the closest to what God wants you to be, and I know not all you are religious or anything like that. I'm not going to go too crazy on the religious talk, but in order to be the best that you can be, and in order to be as close to what God wants you to be, you have to rise above that cynicism, and you have to be kind to people, even when you know this person's a piece of shit, and I know it because I just have that sixth sense about me, you know. But yeah, friendship is only formed through love and actual respect. Exactly, Carl Simpleton. You know, cynicism is the tool of the despaired, but is also the moderator of the strong man. Yes, and I think that cynicism, right? Because here's the thing: I don't like every basic bitch says this about themselves, but I don't consider myself to be cynical. I consider myself to be realistic and skeptical of humanity because at the end of the day, and again, I said I'm not going to get too religious here. Just one more, please give me one more. It is biblical. It is in the Bible extremely early on that humanity is not to be trusted, that we are ignorant, we are selfish, we are foolish. We are just about every bad thing that you could think of. We are that. We embody that. And our moments of kindness, our moments of rising above that are few and far between compared to the bad things that occurred. But those moments of kindness are our salvation, if you will, right? Those moments of living in a godly way, in a way that is Christ-like, if you will. That is our salvation. That is what makes us not worthy, but it makes it worth it for us, I guess you could say, is what I'm trying to explain, right? With that said, like, you have to rise above the cynicism, but you also have to be skeptical of humanity, you know. Like when I make that read on somebody, like JC, right? I don't think JC is here right now, but one of my mods is named JC. He lives in the area of Boston. I met him last year when Greg went into Boston after Bitch Tank. I was like, hey, I might as well hang out with Greg. There was a couple of cool cats there. A dude that I am cool with to this day, JC, right? I made a read on him right away that he is an all right guy. He's a good dude, you know, and that like I could trust him on a level that I probably would not be able to trust somebody else that I just met, you know. But like if you make that read on somebody, it's important to not be like, this guy creeps me out a little bit, it's time to start being weird to him now, you know. This guy, excuse me, this guy gives me the creeps, or I think he's the type of guy who would steal from me or anything like that. It's important that you don't start treating them like shit, but probably keep an eye on your wallet, you know. Probably keep an eye on your backpack or your purse. Probably try to avoid being in a room alone with him or something like that, you know. It's important that skepticism is not just a survival mechanism. It is backed up by canon, if you will. It is backed up by the good book. Can I get a amen? It's backed up by the Bible, you know. So it's a situation where you have to realize that it exists. People are like that, and you need to be aware of it, and you need to abide by it, but you cannot let it consume you. You have to rise above what is ultimately the easier and more instantly gratifying path of um, over judgment, of hyper judgment, and poor behavior towards those who you have made a hyper judgment of, or a premature judgment of, even if you are reasonably, even if you are 100% sure of what it is, what's going on, you know. User one says, "LOL, I'm down for scamming a Chinaman. Me too. Let's hit up JC from Fish Tank season 2, and we'll hit her with that do not redeem. We'll hit her with the do not redeem." Monkey Punch says, "Get one of those waterless toilets where you put compost in it to turn the poo poo into fertilizer." Oh man. Friends are always the ones you do your best to be candid around. A real friend is someone that no fear surrounds them. Yes. Yes. Null Hugh asks, Scott Sullivan, is it gay if I date a femboy? I don't know. How big is the penis? Anyway, I just want to catch up because I did spend a little bit of time on that, and I want to see if I missed any good any good things, any good chatterinos, any good chatteroonies. I also just realized I forgot to. I saw somebody mention Arie. Now that I'm scrolling back up, I want to see what that was about. Because that's my boy. Yes, gonna pin that. What is the female version of the name Scott? I don't think there is one. That's good because I used to make fun of my brother because there's a female version of his name, and he used to get so angry. He used to get so fucking angry. I took a video on this flip phone that I used to have, right? I wish that I was able to save it because it was just the funniest fucking thing. We're home alone one day, right? And I keep I just trying to piss him off. He's playing video games, right? And this is one of those stories, you had to be there or you have to see the video, and I don't have the video. But he's sitting there playing video games, right? He's got the controller in his hand, right? He's like do, 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 do. And I'm just sitting here calling him the female version of his name over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm doing it in like a voice, like a high-pitched voice. I'm like, Samantha. I'm like doing it like that. My voice used to be able to get higher than that, but his name isn't Sam, by the way, you know. But and you just see him slowly but surely, just like, and then he fucking slams the controller, and he's like, "Shut the fuck up." Again, like it's a dumb story. It's a pointless you had to be there story. But it was just such a like I can still picture it. I can still picture it. And I'm so glad I got it on video because I got to sit there for months afterwards anytime I wanted a quick laugh and just watch it on that flip phone. It's like 3 pixels. The resolution is 3 pixels, you know, but it's just like, it was just like, man, that was so fucking hilarious, you know. You should go on and cosplay as Canelo talking about Mexicantank. Smart Moron says there's a Mexican Arie. Okay, all right. If anybody finds a because I am curious, if anybody finds a oh, there it is. If anybody finds a cast list, like if anybody finds pictures of them, definitely let me see. Let me see, you know. Send it my way. Anyway, at Quai Thread 01 says at anyone. I don't know if there's literally someone in the chat named anyone, or if you're just literally asking anyone. Should I work 70 hours a week roofing for the money, then dip, or try and find a better job? My body is dying. if your body's that bad, you need to find a better job, you know, because I can tell you personally, it's not going to get better unless you go out on workers' comp, and even then, you might have a hard time with that, depending on who you're doing the roofing for. Because I know that a lot of construction jobs are like not legit, and if you work for like legit company, then dude, go out on workers' comp if you have a good reason to. I'm not telling you to like do anything illegal or like defraud or anything like that. Me personally, like I was only getting worse to the point where I was getting sometimes multiple migraines in a week. But then in addition to that, um, the pain, right? The injury was going from my neck to my shoulder. Then it started shooting down my arm, and then it got to a point where I couldn't pick things up. If I tried to pick things up, it would hurt my hand, right? And that was a point where I had no choice but to go on workers' comp. I didn't even want to, right? I originally only told them because I got suspended for 2 weeks because my boss had it out for me. I haven't told this story in a while. I'm waiting to leave the place before I tell it in like extreme detail or anything like that. But my boss had it out for, you know. I'll finish talking about workers' comp, then I'll tell the story. Because you know I have more people here than I usually would have, and I'm assuming quite a few of those people are probably on the news side. So I figure I'll mess around and tell some stories here. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, but like um I only told them because during a meeting to get reinstated at work when I got suspended for 2 weeks, they told me, because I told them like, look, like I have an injury that I've been working through for a long time now, and they're like, well, you need to tell us that when you come back. I just figured I was going to tell them that, and then they would kind of be like, okay, well, now you've officially reported it. If you get a migraine or if you have this or that going on, just let us know and we'll work through it. I figured that's what was going to happen. No, they sent me home for the day, you know? They sent me home for the day, and then I didn't come back for like 5 months. Fucking 5 months. Um, so yeah, like this, I only worked like I only worked like 5 months out of the year last year. That's insane. But yeah, so yeah, I had a manager at my job who had it out for me. Basically, um, he was just like and this is what I'm talking about. Like I can make reads on people very very quickly. This guy was a sociopath. Um, and you know, and when I say sociopath, it's kind of a catch-all for just like weird dark triad asshole, you know. But it wouldn't surprise me if there genuinely was some kind of sociopathy there because of the way that he came after me and he went after other people. Um, this guy comes in and he's the kind of guy who like he very upbeat, very charming, but in like a sleazy slimeball way where it's like um there's just nothing behind his eyes. And this is why I say like yeah, he was probably like a straight up sociopath, you know? Because that's like a sociopathy thing. And I know sociopathy and psychopathy are like outdated terms, but also I think the psych field is bullshit. So you're gonna have to excuse me if I don't use the updated antisocial personality disorder thing. Um, but he was the kind of guy where like you see it's tough to explain, right? Like, and you see the reason why I'm having trouble explaining it is because I don't want to completely and totally like butcher what I'm trying to talk about and like make it just like a bad story and things like that. That's why, so now I'm doing it, trying not to do it. But he was the kind of guy where like if you were talking to him, right? And let's say he was trying to sell you this Zippo lighter fluid, right? He would give you like the most Wolf of Wall Street explanation as to why you should buy this lighter fluid, you know. Or like another example, if you worked for the manufacturers of this lighter fluid and he was your boss, he would be giving a presentation, and instead of just doing it the way that everybody would do it, anybody who has a conscience, you know, a little bit of nerves, a little bit of like, you know, oh hey, I'm just, you know, chilling doing my thing here. There was like, it was like a big thing. Oh, I got a text from somebody. I just want to make sure it's nothing too important. I never get texts from people. Anyway, All right. But he would be like, so what makes Zippo lighter fluid different? I'll tell you. It's a commitment to excellence. A commitment to excellence paired with sustainability. Sustainability that is sustainable. And it is so sustainable that we like that's the way he talks, that's the way he explains things. It's like really fucking like weird like manipulative bullshit, you know. And he did the same thing with me when he tried to fuck with my schedule, and I had already lost. Oh no 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 no! You see, I'm butchering the story already. Basically, when he came in, he tried to change a lot of things that he could not change. And one of the things he wanted to change was my ability to take the summertime off because the work had slowed down. He decided he wanted to come in and have everybody working the summer, basically just because he wanted to exert control over everybody. Now, me, I don't care how bad I need the job, I'm not going to be bullied by anybody. So when he came to me after I had put down that I was going to take the summer off, he said, and actually this is the best example of his sociopath behavior that I could give you up until I start talking about the moves he tried to pull and stuff like that. He pulls me aside. He isn't even technically my boss yet. He's just touring the facility that I work at, and he's trying to make sure that like like he's trying to plan for when he's there. He's like, "Oh, Scott, could I talk to you for a second?" I walk outside, and he's like, "I just wanted to make sure we got off on the wrong on." I just wanted to make sure we got off on the right foot. You said that you were not going to be working the summer. You put down on the paper that you would not be available for the summer. And I'm just here to let you know that you might not have a choice in that. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, okay, this guy's a fucking I almost didn't say fucking. I almost didn't say fucking. I almost said a different word. Um, this guy is a fucking asshole. I'm not gonna let him talk. So I just immediately was like, nah, no, I'm not working. I ain't working. Not happening. And then he was like, can I finish? I was like, no, go ahead. I'm just letting you know I'm not working. It ain't happening. I put down on the paper. That's my right to do it. It's not happening. And then he tried to say, well, okay, you can say that, but if you deny the work, then we're gonna fight your unemployment benefits. We're gonna deny your unemployment benefits when the state comes to us and asks about that. And as soon as he mentioned that, I was like, that's fine. I don't take unemployment benefits. We're not doing this. You're not threatening me. I'm out. Peace. I went back inside. I finished my work. You know. From that point on, he had it out for me, and he made it very very clear every time he would speak to me. Every time we would do anything. Right. He tried to walk in. He tried to lay down the law on somebody he didn't have a right to lay down the law on that over. And when I said, nah, it's not happening, that's when he decided he wanted to come after me, you know? At that point, I knew to brace for impact, right? There was a point where, for one thing, he was trying to give me way too much work, like literally more work that I could do. That way, when I would not finish the work, he would try and be like, why didn't you finish the work? You're in trouble for this, right? That was a load of shit, and that didn't stick. And then, in addition to that, he suspended me for literally no reason. Like, the union was in place by then. Um, the union was in place, and I got the call for the. In fact, you know what? Let me see something. I have the call still. I just want to make sure. Okay, so I recorded the call. I recorded the call. I recorded the phone call. Would you guys like to hear it? This is the middle of the phone call. He started to try and say that I'm suspended, and then I interrupted him to let him know that I recorded the call. Right. So. I want to let you know. Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just need to let you know. I am recording this conversation as well. Okay. I just want to let you know that I'm removing you from the schedule for Sunday and Monday. An investigation regarding your work performance. We will meet on Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. with Barrett.
to conduct this investigation.
Okay, well, you're removing me. You're saying that right now, so I'm going to need to be paid for those 2 days.
I'm just simply explain to you what the process is
I don't know how well
and
you
what
guys can hear this because
conversation
I'm
can
having
be
a hard
had
time.
on Tuesday at 10:30.
All right, sounds
All right,
good.
thank you.
Did you have anything else you wanted to say or anything like that? Was there anything else that needed to be said right this second? Or
No, sir. Thank you and have a great evening.
all right, you as well. I don't know how well you guys were able to hear that, right? But I got the phone call on a recording because I knew that this is the kind of fucking slimy piece of shit that you need to record things with. That you need not like phone in your pocket, don't let them know that you're recording, but more specifically like, hey, I'm just letting you know I'm recording this phone call. And if he continues, that is implied consent that he's okay with that phone call, right? Can't understand the guy really well. I don't think I need to give like I don't think I need to give like a big I don't think I need to give like a big transcript of it, but basically what he said is I was being removed from the schedule for 2 days. That 2 days turned into 2 weeks, and they could not give me a reason for the suspension. They originally said it was an investigatory suspension, meaning that I hadn't done anything wrong. They were just trying to figure out if I did do something wrong. And they kept me out for 2 weeks. I would assume hoping that I would get anxious and like find another job, or like maybe they would have enough time as to where they could find a real reason to fire me or something like that. And what it ended up coming to was they said that I left $5,000 worth of stuff out because part of my job is making sure that things get put in the right spot, and it's stuff that like if it gets left in the sun, if it gets left at a certain temperature or whatever, it might damage the product. So they were like, you endangered $5,000 worth of product, and we were like, okay, how much of that product was lost? They were like, none of it. It's like, oh, so nothing happened. I didn't do anything then. Basically, you gave me too much work. I didn't get the work done. I notified you guys that I would not be able to get the work done. They lied about my notification that I would not be able to get the work done. They said, "Oh no, you never did that. No, you never did that. That didn't happen." And then at the end of it all, I didn't even like nothing even got ruined. Nothing even got fucked up. You know. Another one was they said that I left some trash somewhere, and it's like, how do you know that was even me? Do you know how many people are doing that kind of thing? And you're only getting on me for it. It was just the type of stuff where it's like, okay, the fix was in, and this guy was really trying to get at me. And at the end of that 2 week suspension, I went in for not even an hour. I got in there on my first day back. I started moving some stuff around, just waiting for someone to get there so I could report it. And then as soon as they got out of the car, because, you know, I just happened to be out where they parked their cars at the time, as soon as the guy that I reported it to got out of the car, I was like, hey, just letting you know, I have issues with my neck, my shoulder, and now it's going down into my arm. And that's when he pulled me into the office. We did an accident report thing, and then I was out of work for like 4 or 5 months. You know, luckily in that time, and this is like the end of the story. I'm doing like a really bad job of telling the story. I apologize, guys. You know, as usual, I'm not doing that good of a job telling the story. My bad. But it ended with him getting fired for sexual harassment and other inappropriate things on the job because he would bring in temporary workers and then he would give them tours. He would give them tours. You know, he would give them tours around the facility that we work at, and some of those temps went to other managers in the place and they were like, "Yo, that guy, he put hands on me." And they reported it up the chain of command until he ended up suspended. And oh, dude, you know what? You know what the best thing is? You know what the best thing is? I just remembered. Hold up, 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 hold up. Um. Um. So. Um. Oh yeah. So I emailed I emailed this guy, right? This manager, He said, "Hi Scott, I'm in," and I was emailing him about workplace accommodation and stuff like that. That's something I had to do for the workers' comp thing. And he said, "Hi Scott, I'm in receipt of your request for workplace accommodation. I would like to schedule a telephone call on Monday, October 7th, to review with you the process involved when an associate applies for an accommodation. Please let me know what a good time would be to speak." Then I said, "It would be best for us to email each other as per the advice I was given regarding the matter. Thank you for your understanding." At this point, I was in contact with a workers' comp lawyer, and they told me to do everything through email. So he basically just he talks about some other shit, right? Um, oh wait, no, fuck. Mm, there was oh damn. Um. I'm looking for one email because like I kind of fucked with him a little bit, right? I'm not finding the email right now. I don't know exactly where it is. Maybe it's in my other one, but basically what happened is I emailed him at one point, right? I emailed him at one point. Hmm. Yeah. I emailed him at one point, right? And I was like, "Hey, dude," obviously didn't really call him dude, but I emailed him at one point and I was like, "Hey, any updates on this thing?" And he told me, "Oh, I'm going to be unavailable for a little while, so I'm going to hand you over to this guy." Basically, he handed me over to the guy who would end up taking his job when he got fired. And then when I figured out about what was going on with him, I emailed him again pretending I had no clue what was happening. And I was like, "Hey, bud, just check it in to see if you're back yet so we can go forward with some of the stuff that's going on. I'm just curious if you got any information on this or that or the other thing." That was my little, like, "Aha, you fucker, I'm still here and you're not" email. I wish I could find it. I wish I could find it. It's not like I was like, "Fuck you," but I know because I know the way that these sociopath types work. I know the way that they function. I know that when he got that email, he definitely was looking like this fucking asshole because that's the way they operate, you know? Fucking, I got the last laugh on him. And I'm going to continue to get the last laugh on him because when I do finally leave that job, I have plans to leave that job in the next year or two because I'm moving on to some other things. When I do finally leave that job, if I'm still doing this, I'm going to start telling the story in its entirety using his whole name. That's part of the reason why I have a hard time. That's part of the reason why I have a hard time explaining it is because I'm trying to be real careful not to use his real name and shit like that. There's also another story that I want to tell. That I mean it's really fucked up. It's kind of a fucked up story, honestly. But there's like kind of weird like there's weird and quirky moments in there. And it's related to my current job, but um, this is the kind of hot goss you can't get on TV anymore, says Cherub Cow. Exactly. Exactly. That's all that's what we're here. Scott Sullivan hot goss. Scott Sullivan T. Scott Sullivan T channel. Excuse me. Listen here, Buckaroo. Man about to go nuclear. That's what I should do. Like this guy was such a scumbag that like I seriously looked into him. I looked into him just to see what he was up to make sure that he was not working in the environment again. And I haven't been able to find any info. I mean I have info on the guy. Like not to be a weird freak about it, but like this is the kind of guy that you want to make sure is not in a certain environment. This is the kind of guy that it's like, yeah, it's probably a good thing that there's somebody out there that's like, "Huh, I hope he's not doing work here again. I hope not, because that's a really bad sign, you know." Um. Anyway, I live on a mountain of fire and send messages by Raven. That sounds like something Xavier would say. Did you guys get a free Slurpee today from 7-Eleven? No, no, I did not. If I had known that, I would have popped into a 7-Eleven. Uh, Excuse me, geez. I'm not big on Slurpees though. I've never been big on slushes and stuff like that. The only slushes I've ever really enjoyed are slush puppies, and I feel like they don't have those anymore. But slush puppies were less so slushes and more just small ice pellets with sugar water in them, which was delicious. They were fantastic. I would highly recommend them if you can find a place that has a slush puppy machine around, you know? I had 3 Mexicans painting my living today. Fucking sounds like you were living in Mexicotank. Oh, excuse me. You can still go. It's still 7-Eleven. That's true. Excuse me. That's true. Man. How's your Morrowind playthrough going? It's going pretty good, OP. I'll be honest with you. I think I'm probably a little bit too young to really appreciate Morrowind. Like it's just I think I was born in the wrong time to really appreciate it for what it was supposed to be, because I do enjoy it. It's a good game. I'm having fun with it, but I'm not having as much fun as I would have liked to, and a lot of it comes down to some of the gameplay stuff, you know. Um, it is a much harder game in general as well, but that is what it is, you know. It whatever, you know. Me, I'm not someone who personally loves the hell out of a bunch of challenge in my video games and stuff like that. I like just being able to mow down everybody that's in front of me. But like a little bit of challenge is not bad, you know. But I do find myself from time to time having to like fucking use console commands just to get through something, because I don't want what happened with Fallout 2 to happen with Morrowind, where literally I never officially completed Fallout 2. I got to the point where you had to fight Frank Horrigan, and my character was so poorly leveled. Not even like not a high enough level. I mean like just the way I did the stats were just not conducive to me being able to beat Frank Horrigan. And I was so desperate that I went through the entire Enclave base, the entire the entire oil rig. Excuse me, I forget what the oil rig is called specifically. I don't think it's Mariposa. Mariposa is that's the military base in the first one. I thought maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know, but um, bottom line, I went through the entire oil rig and killed everybody that I could kill, pretty much, just to further level my character and put it into combat and luck. Um or whatever it was. You know, put it into combat skills. This is like well over a year ago that I was having this issue. And even after doing that, getting a couple extra levels where all I did was put skill points into combat and select combat based perks and stuff like that, I still simply could not get through Frank Horrigan. It just would not happen. And I'm still pissed off about that, but I simply don't have the time or the energy to be doing it, you know? To be doing the whole thing again. So because of that, instead of getting to a point in Morrowind where I have to like load up an earlier save or like some other shit like that, I've just gotten to a point where it's like, okay, I don't think there is any possible way for me to complete this without using a console command of some kind. So I'm just gonna do it and get it over with, and I'm gonna move on. You know, call me a casual, call me a whatever. I don't care. Um, Giant testicle eater. What weapon did you use for Frank? I believe it was a minigun. I was using miniguns and rocket launchers. So it's not like I was using laser pistols. It's not like I was using 10 millimeter pistols or anything like that. I was using like heavy weapons and things like that, and I had power armor on. I forget exactly what kind of power armor, but it was a good power armor. I know that. Um, and it just was not working out. Just was not working out. Sod asks if you're still training, if I'm still training. Yeah, I'm teaching more than I am training, but I'm slowly I'm transitioning, guys. I'm transitioning. But no, I am slowly transitioning back into training a little bit more. I have a plan for when I do go back to work as to where I can work out again. My body's changing. My body's definitely changing. I'm definitely noticing a skinnier frame, a little bit more built around the shoulders and the arms, and even like, you know, this area right here. I forget exactly what this is called. and the pecs and everything. I'm a little bit more built. And what I'm trying to do now is like focus on losing the gut and the love handles. But then in addition to that, I'm also trying to make sure that I look for other places that I can get a little bit of training of my own in, whether it's rolling, whether it's striking or something like that, because I'm at a point now where I'm spending all of my time training other people, and it's really bad for me. It's like really, really bad for me. That's why I was so fat in the first place, is because instead of taking care of myself, I was taking care of other people. Um, you need the C1 rifle or whatever the laser rifle was called, and that's part of the issue, is that I didn't have a laser weapons build. I was not really a laser weapons guy, but I do see how like even a Gatling laser would have been better probably than a minigun or something like that. But you know, you know. Have you ever done a New Vegas speed run? They're fun. Nah, I've never done a New Vegas speed run. I've never done something like that. I don't know. Maybe I should give it a shot at some point. Excuse me. I never beat Pokemon Red because I had no ethers at the final series of battles, having never used them the rest of the game and needing them desperately. Yeah, like that's one thing about modern games that I do think is right, is that like you can't catastrophically fail. I'm not someone who's big on the idea of like having a ton of challenge in video games. If that's your thing, that's your thing. Go for it. Good for you for having something where you're like, okay, I want to be pushed hard. Um, but like me personally, I have so many other challenges in my life that when I sit down to play video games, I don't want another challenge. I don't want to see real life reflected in my video games. And maybe that's part of the reason why some people like a challenge in their video games, is because maybe real life is just not that challenging to them in one way or another. And because of that, they want that challenge, that reason to keep on trying to do something. I don't know. Maybe that's the case. But regardless, I'm not a big challenge in video games, guys. Right? So it's not like I just want to hit one button and everybody on screen explodes. That's not what it is. That's not what I mean. But I don't want a challenge as to where I'm like pissed off having to do the same level or the same boss or the same activity 7 times, and then finally I get lucky and do it right once. Oh, excuse me. Man. Um. Have you ever played the OG Deus Ex? I'm in a gay relationship with that game. Nah, I've never played the OG Deus Ex. Maybe I should though. Maybe that's another one that I should. That's the reason why I played Morrowind, is because I was like, yo, I have to play Morrowind. I can't not play Morrowind. I'm such a big fan of Oblivion and Skyrim that even if I am a little bit afraid that I'm not going to be able to get it, I'm not going to get it because I was born a few years too late to really like be big on it. Because when did Morrowind come out? Was that 2004 or was that still in the 90s? Oh no, 2002. So I would have been 8 years old when Morrowind came out, which like playing Morrowind as an 8-year-old, most 8-year-olds aren't going to be into that. Excuse me. So yeah, it makes sense. By the time I was playing Oblivion, by the time I was playing Bethesda games, specifically the Elder Scrolls, Oblivion was out for a couple of years. By the time I was playing Fallout games, Fallout 3 came out, I think that year or the year before that I started playing it. Um, have you ever done Zercher squats? Helps with core. No, what's a Zercher squat? I'm curious. Because I need a new lower body exercise. I need a new lower body exercise because I shit you not, I think I am too fat to do squats in a good way. Um Zerch. Oh, okay. Yeah, no. I couldn't do those. I could not do those. And like, even though I think it probably would be a little bit easier. And I mean, the thing is, like, I've considered doing those actually, but not with a barbell. Instead, just with a plate. But I was saying, I think I'm literally too fat to do squats effectively. I can lift a lot heavier than I do right now, but like if I do, I have zero form. My form is just not good, and because of that, I get pain in my back, and that's the last thing I want. So I've been considering switching from weighted squats to either body weight squat, or maybe I have dumbbells. Yeah, dumbbells. I was talking about barbell squat, not dumbbell squat, is what I meant to say. But switching from barbell squat to maybe dumbbells, as annoying as dumbbell squats are when you're holding them down here like it's a deadlift, I'd probably have to have them up here, just to make it a little bit less annoying. Or like having like a 45-pound plate and hugging it, kind of like the Zercher squat from the look of it. But if I tried to do Zercher squats with Zercher, I don't know how you would pronounce that. Um, when if I was to do those, I would probably re-injure, not even re-injure. I still have an injured neck, but like I would probably make the injury worse. That's what I'm afraid of, is having something pulling down this way. I know, you stay up like that. It's probably not as. I don't know. Maybe I should just try them. Maybe I should just try them, because I probably wasn't doing them the right way the last time I tried them. I'm not a weightlifting guy, so I can't even 100% trust myself all the time. But like maybe I'll try them again to see how they feel next time I lift. That'll probably be like Tuesday or Wednesday. But other than that, the reason I am a little bit wary of them is because if it pulls down this way, there's a chance that it's going to aggravate my neck, which is going to cause more migraines and stuff like that. And that's also a reason why I stopped working out in the first place, is because it got to a point where even running would give me a migraine sometimes. I'd get out of work and I'd be all good, and I'd go to the gym like an hour earlier than I had to be there, and I'd start going for a run, like just like around the mat, because sometimes I don't want to run outside. Sometimes I'd rather just be inside, but I don't want to run on a treadmill. So I run around the mat. We have a pretty big mat. And like I'd get a fucking migraine out of nowhere, and I'd be out of commission the whole day. I'd have to ask other people to take my classes over for me, It was just not good. It was just not good at all. Do Kegel kicks. I do plenty of Kegels, sir. I'm nice and tight. I'm nice and tight down there. Scott, do you stay hydrated? I try to, but I don't do as good of a job as I should. I'll be honest with you. Not lately, anyway. Not lately. And it's a combination of two things. One, it's very hot in my apartment, and I'm not used to it, so I got to keep the AC on a lot more, which is annoying because that costs a lot more. And then in addition to that, I seriously think the weight has an effect on my hydration. I think that because I'm as fat as I am, I was 270 pounds when I weighed at the doctor's office, like Airsoft Fatty weighs less than me right now. But like, I think all that excess weight has made me sweat a lot more. And because of that, I'm just chronically more dehydrated. It's something to look out for, something to look out for. Trust yourself like Jasmine trusted that Persian thief. You know what, Cherub Cow? I think you're right. Favorite MMA fighter? My favorite of all time is Mirko Cro Cop. I just like his style. His style is very similar to mine. I like to be on the outside. I like to hunt for that one punch or kick that is going to end the fight. When I throw hard. I throw everything into what I'm throwing. I'm not trying to dance around for a decision victory. I'm not throwing my punches at 80% or 90%. It's like everything I have is going into that thing. And I like that. I like that in fighters in general, even if it's not like the exact way that Cro Cop fights. I like seeing commitment in fighters. That's why I like Roundtree. Like, Roundtree may never be a champion. I don't think he's ever going to be a champ. I just don't think he's got what it takes necessarily, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm realizing that there's some fighters that it's probably better that they don't become champions, because they're just so much fun to watch, without them trying to game their way to a fucking championship. I was thinking about Joe Lozon the other day. I think about him all the time. I think about Joe Lozon all the time. But Joe Lozon was a fan favorite, and he's someone that everybody from my region looks up to, because he's probably maybe he's the most successful I'd say he's probably the most successful. You know, you got Calvin Cater, you got Rob Font. They're doing really well for themselves. But overall, as of right now, I would say Joe Lozon was the most successful and most well-known New England and specifically Massachusetts UFC guy, right? To ever live. You know, other than that, you got like Kenny Florian. You got some other dudes that are long retired now, but like you know, Joe Lozon was like the guy for a long, long time. And I was thinking about that, and it's like, man, Joe was a win one, lose one guy in the UFC, but he was loved by so many people because win, lose, or draw, he would bring it and he would try everything he could and he would leave it all out there. He has a saying that he utilizes on his social media posts for his gym. Whenever somebody gets a KO at Cage Titans, which is where they usually fight at, he'll put on um, he'll put on Instagram like we don't get paid by the hour, and like that's the perfect way to explain how people used to fight, including Joe Lozon. And if Joe Lozon wanted, he could have been a champ, but it would have required him to lose the thing that people loved about him, which is that do or die. I'm either gonna kill you or you're gonna kill me, and it's gonna be in spectacular fashion, sort of way that he fights. He would have had to adopt that style of okay, all right, nice and loose, nice and bouncy, nice loose lackadaisical jab cross followed by a lackadaisical kick, not putting too much power in it, not putting too much commitment in it, nothing like that. You know, a couple of quick jabs, they probably hurt a little bit, but it's not like it's breaking anything on the guy. Like he would have had to become that guy. And it sucks. Like even MMA striking sucks. People complain about Habib ruining MMA grappling, and I can understand it. I get it. There's a lot of boring wrestlers today, but even the strikers are boring nowadays. The last card that I did was the best UFC card that I had seen in years from top to bottom. Every fight pretty much was a banger. There like every fight was really entertaining. I had a good time watching every single one of them, and that's because these guys were actually really trying. There was good grappling. There was robust grappling compared to, you know, what usually happens in these fights. And even the striking, people were really trying to go for it. They were leaving it all out there in most cases. And it was just real nice. I loved it. It was fantastic, you know? Oh, excuse me. But it's just, it is what it is. Like I think that when it comes to being a fan favorite, people have fan favorites that are not champions and things like that, where they like that person because that person is actually there to fight. He's not there to win necessarily. He's there to fight. And if he wins, then fantastic. But the bottom line is he's there to fight, and that's it. Meanwhile, you got these guys that are there to win, and they do so in the most boring and technical. And I don't mean technique technical. I mean technical like, well, I mean I landed more punches, so that means I should get the victory. They do it in the most technical nerd Reddit actually kind of guy way. And this is why the UFC is suffering because all the champions are that kind of guy right now. You have a couple of them that are like sort of exciting, but like most of the champions are just those kinds of guys right now. And it's awful. It's just terrible. I was watching, I took a shower before this. That's why my hair is a little wet still. I took a shower just before this and I had my phone blasting YouTube videos. And the YouTube video that I selected was a video on Roy Nelson, right? And the guy who did the video, I forget, he doesn't need a shout out from me. He doesn't need a shout out from me, but I do like the video. So I'm gonna tell you who made it. It was Athlete Central, and it is called "The Fighter." This fighter destroyed legends. UFC buried him by Athlete Central. It was released 2 weeks ago, and it's about Roy Big Country Nelson. He ended up saying that the way Roy fought was not dancing around trying to 10-9 his way to a victory, but he was trying to sleep you. He was trying to beat you and then walk away early. is what he wanted to do, you know? But hey, it is what it is. Do you think a lighter welterweight would be able to beat a heavyweight like Ngannou? I mean, it depends. It depends on the situation. You know, you see dudes like what was his name? It wasn't Takanori Gomi. It was this dude beat Anderson Silva. I forget what his name is. 600-pound sumo MMA. Yes. I'm trying to see if I can figure out who this guy is.
Where's
Daiju Takase. Yes. This is a Pride Fighting Championships video, or else we would watch it. But this famous video, right? Basically a 170 pounder taking on a 600-pound guy. Now this sumo guy, I forget what his name is, but this sumo guy obviously, excuse me, obviously is not nearly as well trained and is definitely not as athletic as Francis Ngannou is. But you know what? I'm willing to bet that if that welterweight or that bantamweight was able to effectively maneuver, that he could tire Ngannou or whoever it is out to a level where he would be able to win. But it's not going to be like it's not going to be in the most effective way, you know, meaning like the most combat effective way. It's going to be sort of just like it's going to be superior conditioning, superior everything that is peripheral to fighting ability, you know? And is that wrong? Not necessarily. You got to use what God gave you, you know? Like people think they're like savants. People think they're savants saying things that we've known forever. This is one of the things about like combat sports that annoys me, is that you have people who don't do combat sports, or they do like jiu-jitsu and they've done it for like a year and a half, and they think they're the guys you want to listen to. They think that they're the types of dudes who need to say things on the internet all the time, you know? The kinds of guys that like they go into a Facebook comment section and they're like, there's levels to the game. You know, weight classes exist for a reason. You know, there's a reason why men don't fight women. Like they have to do the Reddit like snark like guy thing. You know, they have to in the comment section of everywhere because they did jujitsu for 6 months 5 years ago. You know, that type of shit is annoying. The bottom line is fighting is such a complicated topic, and it's different every single time it happens. Every time a fight happens, it is a completely and totally different thing from a fight that happened even 2 seconds before between the two of the same people. It's completely and totally different. And because of that, there is a million different things that could happen, a trillion different things that could happen, and you're not going to know exactly what's going to happen until it does, you know? So it's a situation where, like, yes, obviously, the bigger guy has more punching power. Whoa, what? Whoa, dude, what? Whoa, did you guys know that? The bigger guy hits harder. Dude, force equals mass times acceleration. Did you guys know that? Oh, bro. Fucking, like, obviously, yes, the bigger guy has better punching power, but there's things that the little guy is going to have that the big guy does not have, and that will give him the ability to win if he uses that the right way, and more importantly, if the bigger guy doesn't handle that the right way. And that's what happens in jiu-jitsu. The reason why jiu-jitsu is known as the thing for the little guy and all this stuff, which is also, it's bullshit, you know, but the reason why it's known as that is because in a boxing match, if a little guy takes on a big guy, it basically goes until the big guy gets hit, until the little guy, it basically goes until the little guy gets hit one time. Once that little guy gets hit one time, chances are he's going to go down, something might be broken, etc., etc., right? That's just kind of the way that works a lot of the time. But with a jiu-jitsu match, if the little guy gets taken down and he ends up on bottom, there isn't anything that is inherently life-threatening about that, where it's not the same thing as getting nailed in the head by a 600-pound guy, you know? So because of that, you have a situation where the little guy is going to have an easier time imposing his will on that big guy if the big guy does not know how to deal with that little guy, you know? Oh, excuse me. Quiet Thread 01 says Reddit smug. Bonjour Skeet says smug white people. Pretty much, yeah. Could Ana de Armas beat Ken Shamrock? I believe so. I think girl power wins in the end. I think girl power conquers all, actually. I think being a girl bossing is I think that conquers all. I think that conquers all. Is that Patrice O'Neill? Ah, man, rest in peace. Rest in peace, Patrice O'Neill. What's it been, 14 years or something like that since he's died? Man. He died just in time. He would not have done well in the he would not have done well in the woke era, Would not have been good. With MMA, a smaller guy has more chance than in boxing or wrestling. Yeah. I could see how you would say that, but it's also kind of the same thing with like the big guy too. Like the little guy shoots in, the big guy sprawls. You don't want to be underneath a big guy. There's a reason why a lot of heavyweight grapplers don't bother going knee to the ground when they shoot in for takedowns. They'd rather hit a snatch single or a blast double where they don't go knee to the ground. They basically just football tackle somebody and things like that. They'd rather hit duck unders, throw bys, what's it called? Why am I forgetting the name of something I taught like 2 weeks ago? Arm drag. The arm drag. Another good thing for heavyweights too is the Russian tie. But you see the Russian tie in smaller weights too. Is funny. Mark Hunt got knocked out by Melvin Manhov, who fought at either welterweight or middleweight. Yeah, it happens. It happens. Scott, could you hold your own against a black bear? Is I was I meant to give a meme answer. I apologize for missing the mark on that one. I apologize for dropping the ball there. But as soon as I saw black bear, like whenever I think of bears, I always get confused. Is the black bear the bear that you're supposed to be like, oh, get away from me, right? You're supposed to be like big and you're supposed to like, make noise and stuff like that and it'll run away? Or was that the grizzly bear? I feel like the grizzly bear is the one that if you see it, you have to be like, get away, get away, get away, get away. That's the one you have to do. And then the black bear, I feel like, is the one that you have to play dead with. I believe. They should bring open weight back. Weight cutting is a risk. Yes. Weight cutting is not just a health risk. It's also bullshit, I don't think it's fair. I think it's sanctioned cheating, which is something that Joe Rogan, the King Rogan. It's something King Rogan said once. Rogies. I said Rogies because I listen to Shane Gillis. I listen to Matt and Shane's secret podcast. That means I'm totally funny and a cool guy. And haha, dude, I get on my wife's nerves. Ha ha ha. That part's actually true. I do get on my wife's nerves, but what was I gonna say? Like weight cutting is bullshit because it's a situation where you like I explained. I released a video, right? I released it today actually, and it's a video where I talk about how I got my black belt a little over a month ago at this point, about a month and a half ago actually, a little under a month and a half ago, a little under, but I talk about how I got my black belt, right? And I talk about how I've changed, how jiu-jitsu has changed, and how my outlook on jiu-jitsu has changed, right? And when I'm talking about how jiu-jitsu has changed, I speak on how jiu-jitsu has become its own thing. Not that it was not ever its own thing, but for a long time in especially America, jiu-jitsu was kind of synonymous with MMA. Not exactly synonymous, but the overlap was so great that if you wanted to do MMA, you were getting ready for you were doing jiu-jitsu, excuse me. And if you were doing jiu-jitsu, there was a really, really, really big chance that you are going to do MMA, right? That's how it was from like 2005 or even a little bit before that. Like even before that, but that's how it was pretty much up until like I want to say 2014, 2015, 2016 around there, right? In that time though, right? Jiu-jitsu was able to separate from MMA. It was able to kind of decouple itself from MMA in the way that it was for a long time and become its own thing again in the minds of people who were thinking about taking up the martial art, whether it was for MMA or if it was just because they were like, oh, this jiu-jitsu thing, I wonder what that's like. When that happened, it started to develop its own little thing. It started to develop its own lingo, its own fashion. You know, that's why dudes are wearing rash guards. They go down to here and they're wearing tights and stuff like that. It developed its own culture. It developed its own everything. And in that development was also the development of the competition meta. And this is where a lot of guard pullers come from. This is where a lot of the things that we see that are really annoying and really bad for the sport and bad for people come from. This is why steroids are such a huge thing in jiu-jitsu, because in MMA they got on that not as early as they probably could have and should have, but they got on it a lot earlier than jiu-jitsu did. With jiu-jitsu, there's still no real way to test everybody for every competition. It just does not exist like that, you know? And because of that, jiu-jitsu is now part of the steroids. Because of that, steroids are now part of the high-level jiu-jitsu meta, right? So back to what I'm talking about with weight cutting, right? The reason why I have an issue with weight cutting is the same. The reason I have an issue with weight cutting is the same reason I have an issue with guard pulling and steroids and all these other things, flow charts and all this other stuff. It works, yeah. It's a way to maximize the probability of your success, yes. So I understand why people are doing it. However, I think that it is something that goes beyond just being good at jiu-jitsu and showing up and doing your best. And because of that, I feel that it violates what is the spirit of the sport, because that's what jiu-jitsu was supposed to be about. That's what MMA was supposed to be about. And because of that, it cheapens the sport and it makes it worse in every way. In every way. So I don't agree with weight cuts. I don't think they should be allowed. I don't think steroids should be allowed, obviously. I don't think guard pulling, or at the very least sitting to a guard, should not be allowed, you know? There's a lot of things that, like, even if you can't ban it, I think it's something that like cheapens the art and it should be frowned upon, like flowcharts, you know? You're that good at jujitsu that you have to go in there with a rigid game plan where it begins with you sitting down and going for a leg entanglement and then waiting for them to either go left or right. And then if they go left, well, then you have this option, and if they go right, you have this option, and then from there you have that option. Like, you're so good at jujitsu that you couldn't just freestyle it. You have to have everything so rigid and so codified. You have to have everything so regimented that you know exactly what you're gonna do when you're gonna do it and how. Like that's not what somebody who's good at something would do. That's something that somebody who's bad at something and they're trying their best to maximize their success without actually having to be good at it would do, you know? It's exactly like when me and Sam were getting people ready for boxing matches. We weren't teaching them to box. We didn't care if they were good at boxing. When I was teaching Froggy Fresh, I did a little bit of pad work with them and I did a lot of drilling with how to clinch. I literally taught him how to duck under a jab and then close distance and clinch and then break the clinch and throw an uppercut, a hook, an overhand, and other things like that. You know, I taught him how to tie up hands. I taught him how to push things that like a boxer would be like, wow, that's kind of fucking dirty. But the thing is, like, we weren't concerned with getting Froggy or anybody that good at boxing because we weren't going to get them good at boxing. They had a month and a half to 2 months to train. It wasn't going to happen, you know? We wanted them to be ready for the fight, and we wanted them to win, most importantly. So we weren't sitting there like, okay, here's how you hold your hands up. We're going to drill holding your hands up for 2 weeks, and you're also going to drill how to step, and we're going to spend a whole day just on your jab. You need to throw your jab the right way, and then we'll move on to the cross, and then we'll do a bunch of pad work. We weren't going to do that. It's the same thing that I did with people when they asked me to train them for blood games. I didn't start them off by being like, okay, we're going to practice stance work. Because it's like, dude, we have 2 weeks, and I'm only training you for an hour. Like, if I'm going to teach you something, I might as well teach you something you can use right away. So, like, here's how you hold your hands. Here's a basic way you're going to throw across. Let's drill that until you're at least a little proficient with it, you know? And then we'll do a little bit of moving around after so you can get used to having to hit somebody who's moving. When I say moving around, I mean sparring. Like, if you want to be the best in the world, I don't think a flow chart is the way to be the best in the world. I got to be honest with you. It makes you really good at winning tournaments and things like that. Like, so yeah, it's kind of hard to argue against it when the guy that you're arguing with has all these accolades and all these gold medals and stuff like that. I'm aware of what I'm saying and how it sounds and things like that. But my understanding of what jiu-jitsu is supposed to be about is it's not just pull guard and then go into the flow chart that you rehearsed. It's find the way that you're going to beat this guy. But hey, you know, it is what it is. You know? Scott was gonna make Froggy Canelo. I was, you know. Jiu-jitsu is pretty good in fights, period. Yeah, it is. But like it's also it's not what people think it is the issue. It's not what people think it is. And if I'm being honest with you, jiu-jitsu in modern MMA is not very good. And that says everything that you need to hear, because if the only place that you can do it is in a controlled environment, and if the only way for you to do it outside of a controlled environment is if the other guy doesn't know what you're doing, that's even worse. And that's, again, something I also addressed in that video. Like, I'll pull the video up for you guys, and we'll even watch it real quick. The whole video. Bada bing. Gotta wait for my own ads to stop. We're gonna sit here. We're gonna watch the ads on my video. All right, I'm getting that ad money, whether you guys like it or not. Anyway, dude, I can't skip these. I can't fucking skip these, really. Fucking dumbass ad block. Anyway, yes. Like, here, so, sorry, you guys can't even hear that. Thing, for instance, but it wasn't as this guy sure is on a cultural level from MMA as it is now. Now it's got a bunch of different kinds of competitions, its own metas, its own game plans, its own stars, and I think that's interesting, but I am a little bit bothered by the way that it's become a game, because the Gracies didn't envision a game when they were putting this whole thing together. You weren't supposed to win with strategies that border on unsportsmanlike conduct. And yes, I'm talking about guard pulling, flowcharts, steroids, and all these other ridiculous ways that you can win without actually being that good at fighting or even jiu-jitsu. I used to have a lot of respect for black belts because the ones that I knew and trained under took at least a few
Lethal Descent. I'm doing okay.
To prove that they actually knew how to grapple. But now you have tech bros who will never fight in MMA that wear tights and long sleeve rash guards that like to invert and spread cheeks for other men. I do think someone like Mikey Musumeci would be able to win a street fight against someone who doesn't train at all. But that's kind of the bare minimum of martial arts, isn't it? It's that you should be able to beat on someone who doesn't have any training. It's not impressive if you can beat up somebody who doesn't know what you're doing, let alone how to counter it. I don't think someone like Mikey or even Gordon Ryan... I just wanted to have you guys listen to that so that you could get the gist of the video, so that you don't have to actually go and watch this whole video if you don't want to, or the gist of what I was trying to say, what I was referencing specifically, right? So that if you don't feel like it, you don't have to go watch this video. Not that I anticipated that any of you would be like, I have to, but you get the idea. Um, like if the only way you can really do everything you claim that you can do in your art is to either do it in a controlled environment where there are constraints that don't allow the person you're doing it to do anything other than play into your game, which is what jiu-jitsu competitions are in the first place, and furthermore that's what guard pullers utilize, is tournament rule sets that make it so that you have to play into their game if they sit guard or they pull guard or anything else like that. You can't force them to stand back up by like backing up and being like, come on, stand up, and then the ref stands you up or anything like that. But then in addition to that, it also doesn't mean much if the only way you're able to do it outside of that controlled environment is with somebody who doesn't do what you do at all, is somebody who doesn't know martial arts, who couldn't even begin to understand what you were doing to him. He just knows that you tangled him up and his arm or his leg hurts now and he really wants you to stop. That's like acting like some chess grand champion, a grandmaster in chess, beating me, some guy who hasn't played chess in probably over 2 decades at this point, is somehow an affirmation of that grandmaster's skill, that proves he's an elite level grandmaster, or that chess is that good of a sport or a game or whatever you would call it in the first place, um, that's not how it works. Like, you should, if you are if you are that good, if you do practice chess pretty frequently, you should be able to beat somebody who doesn't practice chess at all, and you should be able to do it easily. You should be able to do it before they even know that they're beaten. You should be sitting here thinking, this idiot just moved his pawn into e7 and he doesn't realize that in 5 moves I'm going to have checkmate, and it doesn't matter what he does and how he tries to get out of this, it's going to happen now. That's what should happen if you're really that good at chess. You're practicing all the time. That's not impressive. That's inevitable. And if I somehow, the guy who hasn't played chess in over 2 decades, am able to kick your ass, that's really bad for you, and it's probably really bad for chess as an intellectual pursuit. And the same thing can be said for jujitsu. You bring jujitsu into MMA, and you got guys like Damian Maia, who he never was a champion, and you got guys like Paul Craig, who he walks in with the woad. He walks in trying to act like he's a fucking Celtic warrior with the woad on his face. And then he fucking pulls guard and gets spanked by somebody who's got no jujitsu, all because that guy can throw punches. It's like, no, it's jujitsu's really good for self-defense. I wouldn't have bothered. I wouldn't have bothered with this fucking thing. I wouldn't have bothered with it if I felt that it was not worth it. All right. I don't care. I'm a yellow belt in karate. I wanted to be a black belt in karate. I could have gotten my black belt in like a year and a half, 2 years probably, if I really buckled down. I got sick of it. I was like, you know what? Nah, I don't need a black belt in karate that bad. If I felt the same way about jiu-jitsu, I don't care that I was a brown belt with 4 stripes at one point. I wouldn't have bothered. I would have been like, fucking who cares, dude? Whatever. Obviously, I think it's a good pursuit for multiple different reasons, but we gotta be honest about it. We gotta be real about it, and not real about it in a meme way where, like I said, you got the guys on Facebook like looking at you like that, actually, you don't want to do jujitsu because in a street fight, if you go to the ground, his friends will beat you up, as if there's never been a one-on-one street fight before, as if none of those have ever existed. It's never happened, not once. Not a single time in the world has it ever happened. Like, not even like that. Just like genuinely, like, we got to kind of be critical of where the sport has gone, because you have people like Mikey Musumeci talking about, and to my bullies who tried to bully me all my life, you couldn't bully me now. And it's like, yeah, because your bullies don't do jujitsu, you fucking idiot. I bet if your bullies trained in MMA, they could fuck you up. They would break your glasses and shove them up your ass, and whatever girl you're talking to, they'd take her home. Fucking, I bet the people who don't do jujitsu couldn't beat me in a jujitsu match. I bet you regret bullying me now. That's right. I'm gonna go eat some pizza and jack off. That's my Mikey Musumeci impression. My Mikey Musumeci impression is what it is, and fucking, I think it's spot on. I think it's spot on. But like, it's like, fuck, man, fucking hey, dude, like get out of here, you dweeb. You know, it's like, fuck, dude. Jiu-jitsu is only good for one-on-ones. I agree, but I disagree, because I wouldn't want to pull guard against somebody if he had a friend who was willing to fight with him. But also, if I was fighting two people and somebody shot in to try and take me down, what else am I going to do other than down block and sprawl if I need to? What else am I going to do other than limp leg out? What am I going to do other than frame on the head and try and bounce it on the fucking pavement and get my leg out? Whoop. There's plenty of grappling that is 1,000,000% useful in a situation where there might be more than one guy. It's just that here's the thing, right? You would have to practice that stuff to be good enough at it as to where you can do it in under pressure. Under pressure. You would need You would need to practice it. You would need to learn it from somebody who knows how to do it already, and then practice before you were able to actually do it with somebody, right? So there's one thing. That right there is a good enough reason to train it, even if you're like, oh man, but what if I get jumped by 3 people? That's enough of a reason right there. But the thing is, a lot of places that you'll go to, they don't train stuff that's good for that in the first place. They train, okay, you're gonna pull guard, and then you're gonna dislodge their weight so that you can transition into 50-50 or a leg entanglement of some kind or whatever, you know? Like, there's a lot of places that are like that, and it's just like, oh boy, you know, oh boy, you know. Even then, it's like, if somebody took me down or if I fell or something like that, what am I just gonna do? Be like, oh darn, I fell, I guess I'm dead now, go ahead and kick me in the face? No, I'm gonna try and get my legs in between me and them, and I'm gonna protect my head to the best of my ability, and I'm gonna try to technical stand up or do something else. I might backwards roll so that I'm to my feet that much quicker. You know, there's tons of stuff that I can do. You know, fucking, isn't wrestling better than jiu-jitsu when it comes to street fights though? I personally think it is, in some ways. You know, it definitely is in some ways. Cause that's the thing is like, again, like wrestling doesn't have a technical stand-up, or the technical stand-up that wrestling has is different from the technical stand-up that jiu-jitsu has. Jiu-jitsu, when you fall down and you're on your back, is a little bit better than wrestling when you're on your back, because when you're on your back in wrestling, you're losing, and your main concern is just getting off of your back. You know, when you're on your back in jiu-jitsu, your main concern is trying to make sure that you don't get hit. And trying to make sure that you can go on the attack even when you're on your back and somebody's on top of you, you know, at least in some jujitsu. Anyway, to grapple multiple people, you need Mr. Fantastic stretch powers. I got those. I got them. But yeah, like, do it all, you know. There's no reason for you to not wrestle too, you know, like one thing that you see a lot more of nowadays is pure jiu-jitsu gyms. There's a lot of gyms out there that don't even do striking of any kind anymore. They transitioned from being like an MMA oriented gym to just straight up jiu-jitsu, you know? Um and that's all well and good, but like one of the things that they'll do to kind of add a little bit of that variety back in is they'll have wrestling days too. And a lot of the time people just don't bother with like my understanding of the meme anyway is that a lot of the time people don't even bother with the wrestling classes, specifically because for one thing they tend to be on weird days. Like there's a wrestling class that I could go to for free if I wanted to, with a guy who I would assume is probably a really talented wrestler, but I don't bother because it's on a Sunday morning. It's like, why would I want to get up early on a Sunday morning for anything other than church? I go to church again, but it's in the afternoon anyway. So, like, I don't have a reason to get up early on a Sunday. I'm probably going to be hungover anyway. So it's like, no, no thanks, you know? But then the other piece of it is that, again, you have a lot of people who get into jujitsu and they think it's all like, oh, I'll just pull guard. And it's okay. I'll pull guard. I'll hit spider guard, and I'll try and hit a triangle choke from the spider guard is what I'll do. I'll go De La Hiva. I think I'll try De La Hiva today. Um, Smart Moron says, "Damn, I really thought that was him." I'm a little bit behind on the whatever it's called. Cherub Cow says that's God's time. Exactly, exactly. And even then, I'm such a schlub that I gotta be like, hey God, I'll see you in the afternoon if that's cool. I'm such a fucking loser. I have to be like, hey God, could we postpone it for a little while, please? Um, yeah, man, just do as much as you can. Says Benjamin Young to Quai Thread. Yeah, like do whatever you can. I was talking about that with my wife the other day, where it's like not the other day. We were literally at the beach today in the water talking about this. Excuse me, I just bit my tongue. I got a tooth, I got a cavity filled yesterday, and it hurts sometimes. Fucking, I just remembered that. What was I saying though? What was I saying? What was I saying? What was I saying? What was I saying? Oh yeah, I was talking to my wife earlier at the beach, and like, we were talking about how we can't stand when people are like, I want to go to the gym, but I got to get in shape first. It's like, how are you gonna get in shape if you don't go to the gym? You know? I want to do Muay Thai, but I got to lose this weight first. You're going to lose the weight if you do Muay Thai. Get your ass in there. Quit fucking making excuses. It's like, fuck, man. Man, if I could, I would. I work 12-hour shifts on roofing on most days and lift when I'm not. I mean, if you can, like, I understand 12-hour shifts are gonna burn you out. I get it, Quiet Thread. I totally understand. Me, like, that's again, like, just adding to the list of reasons why I stopped working out for a while. I simply did not have the time because between my day job and then training other people, I would have like a 10 to 12-hour day between like going from there to the other place, excuse me, and having to do all this stuff related to it. And after that, I'm not in the mood to like do shit. But like, if you can just force yourself one day a week. Replace one of the lifting days with a jujitsu day. You can drop $20. You work 12-hour shifts apparently. I'm sure you're gonna have 20 or $30 extra that you can spend to slap down on the counter so that they can give you a loaner gi to do some jujitsu and shit like that. I'm sure you're gonna have that, right? If not, then that sucks. I think you need to get another job because 12 hours and you can't even afford $30. You are being severely underpaid, my friend. Really. But what's it called? Like, just do it once, man. Just do it once and you'll feel it and you'll be like, all right, that's not bad. And then just do it twice. And then once you do it twice, you're going to see, oh, it's not bad. And then do it 3 times. And then do it 4 times. And then do it 5 times. And then before you know it, you're a year in and you got a stripe or two. If you're only going one time a week, you're probably only going to have like 1 or 2 stripes maximum. You'll probably have 2 stripes maximum if you're going one day per week for a year. And if you're pretty consistent with it, and if you're a hard worker and you have a good attitude, and you seriously improve, you know. But like before you know it, you'll be in a place where you didn't think you would be, you know. Well, they say a black belt is a white belt that never gave up, and that's a very Reddit way to put it, but it's true. You know, it is true. You know, that's all it is. That's all it is. At the end of the day, you have to start drinking your own piss. That's what Machida did. Ah, yes. Ah, yes. That's where he got his nickname, Leoto, the P-Man Machida. Um, man. I'm not sure if I should play a quick game of AoE before I end it. I'm having a good time. I'm having a good time talking. Like, if you guys want to keep talking about stuff, I'll talk about stuff, whatever it happens to be. I appreciate everybody who's been coming. My streams were down for a while, and granted, they're not way up, but they're up compared to where they were. And I don't expect everybody to hang around. I don't expect everyone to be like, "Oh, dude, Scott, like, you know, we love you forever. We're here forever." I don't expect anyone to be like that, you know. But like, I just want to say thank you guys for being here now. You know, I want to do some stuff. Like, I liked that PS5 thing. I don't know if the guy ever got his PS5. I don't know if he ever got his PS5, but you know, what was I gonna say? I liked doing that thing for that guy. It felt nice. The PS5 dude. And somebody sent me some stuff that he apparently made. I think he might have gotten his PS5. I could be wrong though. I think somebody like heavily implied that he got his PS5 to me one day, but I don't think I've ever actually spoken to that guy. Maybe I haven't. I just don't know, you know. But regardless, like, it felt good to do that nice thing for the guy. I'd like to do some giveaways and stuff like that. I want to see how raffles would work, if I'm even allowed to call them raffles, you know. Maybe do like a 50-50 raffle, or like maybe, like, you know, raffle off like an item, if that's something that I could do, or a you know, just giveaways or something like that. I'd like to do that because it's nice. It feels good to give to you guys. I like to lay down and pee upwards in an arch and try to get it into my mouth. It's like, it's my little game I like to play. The pee in my mouth game. So fun, says Monkey Punch. Sounds like a hoot. Sounds like a hoot, you know? Um, he could afford at least a PS3, better console anyway. Yeah. Yeah. It sucks how consoles have just done that. After the PS3, in my opinion, was the superior console. Baby, could you turn on the AC? It's hot in here. Thank you. The PS3, in my opinion, was the superior console, but the Xbox 360 had an aura to it. Just everything about the peripheral, or the periphery, or the meta, or the whatever you would call it, you know, like, it was just better, you know. And like, if you had looked back, if you rewind to like 2010, 2011, 2012, back when like there were grumbles of like, oh, these consoles are starting to get a little older. I'm wondering what's going to happen when we get new consoles. The PS4, the Xbox One, I mean, there were some games for the PS4, but like nothing crazy. And then the Xbox One, forget about it. Like, I don't know anybody who had an Xbox One. If they did, it was like they never played it, they never used it, you know? So it's crazy how like everything with consoles just fucking dive bombed, you know? Smart Moron says, sorry, Scott, but I'll be switching to Trish's stream because she's a hot girl. Don't worry, I'll be switching to her stream too. Um, um, Consoles just have no place today. It's PC or handheld device. Yeah, and it sucks because if there's one thing I do miss about consoles, it was the plug and play nature of them. I tried. Halo Infinite multiplayer is free on Steam right now. I tried to boot it up, and it freezes every time I get to the start screen. I don't even get to the start screen, actually. It doesn't bring me to the start screen. It's like it freezes up on the load screen and it stops responding. And I cannot for the life of me figure it out because I'm not a computer guy. I downloaded Battlefield 2042. It was $3 or something like that on Steam for the summer sale. So I was like, "Fuck it!" I got some buddies who were playing it. I might as well play with them. You have to switch on secure boot, which you have to get into your BIOS. I don't even know what the fuck a BIOS is. I got into it. I followed the guide that I was able to find on the website that they told me to utilize, meaning Battlefield 2042 gave me a website to utilize so that I could figure out how to do this. I followed the instructions and I got to a point where it told me to go into a menu and switch on whatever, and I went into that menu and the thing they told me to switch on was not in there. So I was just stuck, you know? I miss being able to just buy a game and then even if it's like, okay, fine, I got to wait like 20 minutes or more for it to download. At the very least, once it's downloaded, it's like, all right, cool. I get to play it now and there's not going to be any weird issues. Every now and again I'll have to deal with another download for a patch or something like that. But whatever. At the very least, like I'm not wasting money, even if it's only $3 or time trying to figure it all out just to realize that my hardware is not good enough. Um, the first time I got a red ring of death, I'd never felt fear like that before. I never got a red ring of death on my Xbox. What I did have though was an issue where the disc tray stopped working. And instead of fixing the disc tray, I just junked the Xbox because I thought that it probably wasn't worth it to even bother fixing. Because by this time, it was like 2014, 2015, somewhere around there. I'm pretty sure it was pretty sure it was like early 2015 or maybe even late 2014 when it happened. So it was like, whatever, I might as well have just bought another one. But I figured out that the fix was easy as fuck and I could have taken care of it and it would have been fine. And I was a little bit pissed about that. I was a little bit upset. I was just a teeny tiny bit upset, just a teeny weeny tiny bit upset. But it is what it is. Um, Consoles just don't have a niche to fill. Yeah, they do. Like that niche is the guy who doesn't know shit about computers and can't get Battlefield 2042 to boot because he doesn't have secure boot enabled. That's that's it. But the thing is, everything's so fucking expensive now, and then all the games suck. There's just no good games coming out. If any games are coming out in the first place. It's insane, dude. A lot of us got to grow up when gaming was in its absolute prime. Kids nowadays are playing Fortnite, and that's supposed to be their gaming memories. Yeah, and they're gonna look back at those times and they're gonna be like, "Wow, those are some of the best times in my life." And you know what? I don't want to take that away from them. I don't want to be the guy who's like, "Well, actually, actually, it fucking sucks." Like, I don't want to be that guy. Or the actually this fucking sucks guy, right? I don't want to be that dude. But um they really don't know. They just don't get it. They don't understand just how good it was back then, just how amazing it was back then. They just don't get it. I had a kid ask me what the golden days of the 360 were like, and I was like, man, you have no clue. And I think he might have just been going through that phase in his life where he was like, I was born in the wrong generation. He might have just been a little angsty that way, and maybe that's why he wanted to know about it. But, like, he really doesn't know how great it was. And I don't think that's just me being a boomer. I think that's like I think it's objective. It's like I said, I am secretly a little jealous of Chris Chan because if I had the ability to just sit at home during the prime of gaming, during the best decade or so of gaming that we have seen since then, and not just gaming, but like there were some really good movies that came out back then. There was some really good music that came out back then. It didn't all just have to be hip hop and like other like slop and shit like that. Like there was some really good shit that came out back then. And if I could have been a neat, guilt free, and not drinking Fanta that has bodily fluids in it, if I could have been that dude, fucking forget about it, man. That like that would have been ridiculously amazing, dude. Like for real, it would have been so great. Um, you should start calling your wife Safagina. That I would feel weird if I started calling her that. That's like I usually just insult her. I call her insults and things like that, or I'll call her cute and stuff like that. But I ain't about to start calling her that, especially not after somebody told me I should start calling her that. Another man. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, you know. Thanks. Not calling you weird, Monkey Punch. It's just the idea that it's like, oh yes, another man said that I should call my wife Safagina, and Safada means like dirty, or like dirty in like a sexy way, kind of like naughty in a certain way. It's fuck. I'm pretty sure Safada means that. There's Safada and then there's Sakana. I wanna double check though, just to make sure. There's a song that I like. It's called Saudade Safada. And it's like it's like dessa sua saudade safada depois que sente la faça. No, la passa. Nah, fuck. I forget exactly what it is, but uh it's by a guy named Zevaquero. Um Safada. Oh, duh. Um, yeah, naughty. That's like, no thanks. I ain't gonna do that after a guy tells me to do that. You know, that's like that's weird. That's weird. You know. Um, Fortnite was awesome, but for different reasons. I'm sure Fortnite back in its prime was fun. I'm sure it was fun, but I just don't think it probably compares to Halo 3. Even playing offline, like I had so much fun playing offline with some of my friends. We had some of the funnest times ever. you know it was Halo 3 was so good. Halo 3 was so fun even when you weren't playing multiplayer, that the ADHD kid from your neighborhood that liked to ruin everything just to piss you and everybody else off was like placated by it. Like literally, the summer Halo. It wasn't the summer Halo 3 came out, but it was the year after Halo 3 came out. The summer of the year after Halo 3 came out. And now that I'm thinking of it, it was because Halo 3 came out in 2007, but it's not like it came out the summer of 2007. I'm sure it came out like around the holiday season. It must have come out the holiday. Oh fuck! It must have come out the holiday season, right? Let's get that out of here, dude. What the fuck is this? Get what the? Oh, all right, there we go. There we go. Yes. So in uh in Australia and North America, it released September 25th, 2007. So that's not exactly the holiday season, but it's not like it's the summertime at that point. It's like just at the end of the summer. The summer of 2008, like me and like tons of other dudes that would not typically hang out together, we were hanging out together and we were playing Halo 3 and we were getting along just fine because of that. Like it was all good. Like it was me and my friend who introduced me to not just Halo 3 but also Oblivion, Fallout 3, etc., etc. He introduced me to newgrounds.com. I had an account there for a whole like month and a half until my parents figured out I did and grounded me for it. Um, like we're hanging out with like the ADHD kid from our neighborhood who is like purposefully an asshole. He's that kid who's like, timeout, I quit, I win, like that kind of kid, or like the I get it, no callbacks kind of kid, right? Like that dude, the kind of kid to make up a game And then when he starts losing it, be like, timeout. Actually, that's against the rules. I'm new rule. You know, like that was the effect that Halo had, where it's like everybody came together, not even just to play online, but just to like fuck around, you know? And I'm not saying Fortnite didn't have that effect, but I feel like the effect that it had with Halo 3 was probably a lot bigger and better than Fortnite, if I'm just being honest with you, because the entire point of Fortnite is to play it online with other people. We spent just as much time playing with four players, just basically taking pictures and flipping the elephant to get that funny thing when that funny message when you try and flip it back and stuff like that. Like we spent just as much time fucking around, wasting time on like the multiplayer maps, not playing online but just like local multiplayer, taking cool pictures and all this other stuff. We spent just as much time doing that as we did playing online, you know, in some cases even more. And like I feel like that just tells you how good Halo was as a game, if it makes sense, you know. um they're running OG mode this year, simulates the original experience. If you want to find out for yourself, I would assume talking about Fortnite. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe, you know. I don't see why not. Excuse me. All games are now is advertising for corporations to groom these kids to buy their products. Every click has a monetary value to it. Nothing has meaning nor soul. That's why most are free to play. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. You know, it's unfortunate. You know, it's an unfortunate reality is that everything that you do is going to have a phase where it's really good. There's going to be a Wild West phase. Then there's going to be a phase where more money and more attention gets pumped into it, but it's still going to have a soul. So the product is just going to be that much better. But then eventually, what's going to happen is as more eyes get on it and more investment goes into it, there's going to be more and more control by suits, by certain hand rubbing people, certain hand rubbing entities are gonna see it and they're gonna be like, we should use this for our purposes, and it's just gonna be ruined. It's just gonna not be good anymore, and it sucks, man. It really sucks, especially to see something that we grew up with. I was born in '94. That was just in time to experience what the internet was when it had that attention and that funding, I guess you could say. You know, a lot of these places had that funding and that development as to where you weren't just using like fucking Netscape or AOL, or like you know, you weren't using IRC chats anymore. You had something that had a little bit better infrastructure to it. But it still had a soul and it wasn't completely and totally sold out yet, you know. We got to experience that, and we got to experience the same thing with video games. And the unfortunate reality is video games and the internet kind of were not like intertwined. I mean, they were intertwined like that to a certain degree, but they were also what were they? They also kind of changed at the same rate, you know. They had the same restrictions or similar restrictions put on both of them at the same time. So we literally, over the last almost 10 years, got to watch as video games shit the bed and as the internet shit the bed all at the same time. I remember how cozy the internet was up until like 2017, 2018. It was such a nice place to waste time, man. I have so many great memories of like just being stoned off my gourd, eating Chinese food, watching like, I guess you could say, early days horror YouTuber stuff, like Scare Theater and Rainbot, like some of the OGs of the people that talk about horror and true crime and stuff like that. Before it was a big trend for TikTok white girls and stuff like that. I remember so many good memories of. I was thinking about him earlier today. Takedown, man. This is a guy who he talked about like some really fucked up shit on the dark web. He was a storyteller of sorts, and some of the stuff that he told was definitely completely and totally made up by him. I was thinking about a story that he did about he claimed to have stumbled upon serial killer diaries, and the diary was by a guy who called himself Rabid Cannibal, and it was a really fun story. You knew it was made up, but you didn't care because it was interesting. You know, the way he told the story was fun. He also is the one who, before Peter Scully was like confirmed to be a real guy, before it was confirmed that it was not an urban legend, he was the one who broke the news about there being a video by him that I don't even want to name the video because it's that heinous, you know. But like if you look up the name Peter Scully, you'll know, you know, you'll figure it out. You know, you're not going to see the video, thank God, but you'll figure it out. Um, like those, it was just too good, man. It was just too fucking good, and we lost it. And there was nothing we could do. The unfortunate thing is because as much as we would love to sit here and be like the power of the people, yeah, money talks. Money makes the world go round. And because of that, there were bad actors who did their hand rubbing, and because they rubbed their hands enough, they got everything good banned, or at the very least, they got everything good heavily censored and fucked with, to the point where it's almost not even worth it to watch or to take part in it anymore, you know. It's not fun to like do videos on stuff anymore. You can't talk about suicide. You have to say unalive themselves or game end or commit not live or some shit like that. What the fuck? You know? You can't talk about anything anymore. It just makes everything so unserious. Nothing is fun anymore, and it just sucks, man, you know. And I'm sure that if you're a kid now, you're like 14, 15 years old, and you're really just starting to get into the internet. You know, you're a little bit of a dweeb, a little bit of a social outcast. Don't have that many friends, so you got a lot of free time, and because of that, you start going on like 4chan or Funny Junk. I was a Funny Junk guy. I was a Funny Junk guy up until a couple of years ago, and when I got a Twitter, I switched from heavily using Funny Junk to Twitter. I don't even Funny Junk could be even more of a cesspool than it was before now, you know. Um, but um, I'm sure that if you're a kid who is just starting to use the internet now, you're gonna find different stuff, and even if it's in its adulterated form, even if it's in a form that just fucking sucks, it's no fun. It's nothing compared to how it used to be, because it's new and because you're finally getting to be able to like use it for the first time. There's probably going to be a certain excitement, but really compared to how it used to be. And there's people who would say that about like the internet in the 90s. Like, dude, it used to be so much better in the 90s, man. I'm sure part of it has to be being a boomer. Let's just be honest here. You know, part of it probably is just I'm boomer posting right now, if you want to call it that. Um but like I'll bet there were some really cool things going on in the 1980s, not just with the internet, that you probably couldn't do nowadays, that our parents are looking back at and being like, man, those were the fucking days. And they're probably right about it. They're probably right to a certain extent, you know? It just sucks, man, you know? It just sucks. I wish I could feel that way about the internet again. I wish I could feel that way about a lot of things in life again. The only way I could feel that way is to go to new places. That's it, and that costs a lot of money. You know, I miss the days where you could just turn on the computer and you'd go to YouTube and there would be a spooky looking video and you'd be like, ooh, 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 what's that? Click. It's like 1 a.m. and you're in your room alone, stoned, munching on some leftover Chinese food or whatever, and you're watching like the I Feel Fantastic video, or like Obey the Walrus or something like that. I would give anything to feel that feeling again about anything on the internet, man. It's, you know, it's part of getting older, but it's also part of things just getting worse. It is what it is. You know, I don't want to. I don't want to keep harping on this because this is a topic that I could go on and on and on and on for, and I could talk in circles about it, you know. And like as much as I kind of like going on and on and on about it, because I feel like the more I talk about it, maybe the closer I'll get to some kind of solution. I feel like maybe that'll happen. I don't know, you know, but like I can't keep doing it. You know, the one time that I really felt like it was kind of like old internet was when I was streaming on Fish Tank, which that's part of the reason why I kind of get excited to stream on Fish Tank. I try to make sure I keep a respectful distance, a respectable amount of distance um between me and like Fish Tank and stuff like that. Where like, yeah, I'll jump in the chat from time to time. I'll mess around from time to time. I'll interact with like the Fish Tank community explicitly and stuff like that, and I'll talk about Fish Tank. But like, I don't want to be hitting up Jet like, dude, can I please stream? Can I please stream on the site again? But truthfully, I liked streaming on the site because in the middle of the first stream that I did, I realized, wait a second, I don't have to self censor in the way that I do on YouTube and Twitch and even a site like Kick. I don't have to worry as much, you know? And I wouldn't I wouldn't describe that. I went to the site just out of curiosity to see who was streaming currently. Um but uh I wouldn't say that that was an example of like oh shit. I guess I can stream again. Fantastic. Maybe I'll stream again. Maybe I'll stream again on the site. I want to see what'll happen. Oh, nah, never mind. That's just there. That's just there is what it is. Anyway, um I wouldn't say that streaming on the site was like, oh, hey, like I'm back to the old internet, but it was a moment where I was like, wow, like it doesn't feel like the cloud. It doesn't feel like the cloud of jackboot hand rubber internet shit is over me anymore, you know? For the first time, it feels like the eye of the storm hit when I was streaming on the Fish Tank site, you know? Um I like streaming on the site too. I was getting mad trolled. No one watches me shadowboxing in my basement on Twitch. Yeah, yeah. Mm. I'm glad I lost my hair. I don't want to be the other guy anymore. Um when normies could log on to socials like MySpace, it went to shit. Yeah, oh yeah. You know, like there's a channel that I've been watching a little bit. It's called Shredded Nerd, right? You know I like someone's you know I really like someone's you know I really like someone's content when I watch them back, when I watch them over and over again. And this is a dude whose content, whose videos I can watch over and over again, right? Because he makes the kinds of videos that I would make if I had the time, the energy, and like the attention span to make them. Like I had an old channel where I used to talk about this kind of stuff, like the most annoying guy ever, millennial characters. A lot of it was centered on like gender relations and stuff like that, because I was a bit of a I was a bit of a based and red pilled alpha male, and I used to talk about that type of stuff. Based and red pilled alpha. Um, but like I would talk about like why emo girls are like that and why country girls are like that, why Christian girls are like that and stuff like that, you know. But the bottom line is like, you know, I love this dude's content, and one of the things that he has is uh Yes.
You escaped.
In my opinion, this is a very important video to watch if you want to understand why I feel the way that I do about the internet and how the internet got ruined and how that ruination of the internet reflected onto the world. You know, he puts it in a way that is very good. It's succinct. It's obviously an hour-long video, but like, you know, he's very good at making the point, you know. And he talks about a lot of different people, a lot of different things in a lot of different situations, you know. So I would highly recommend you watch this video, How the Internet Ruined Society by Shredded Nerd. Not that he, you know, I'll like the video, I guess. Not that he needs my shout out or anything like that, but I think it's a really interesting I think it's a really interesting video, and it makes a very good point, you know, and it speaks to what we're talking about now, you know, including the when normies could log on to socials like MySpace, it went to shit thing, you know. The problem with censoring words as well is it makes actual problems seem distant and almost entertaining, such as unalive or essay or grape. That's exactly what Shredded Nerd says in that video. You know, that's one of the things that he talks about in that video. People need to use Windows Movie Maker again. Yes, there was a certain charm to Windows Movie Maker stuff. You know, it was made as a labor of love by people who were just like, hey, I'm doing this because I like it, not like, hey, I'm doing it because it has to be done this way because I want to make that internet money. You know, if that makes sense. Shredded Nerd is based. The Hazmith 99. He is. I remember thinking Jeff the Killer was real and being terrified of him. Yeah, like there was a certain fun aspect of it, you know, back when there weren't a million ARGs and you could tell yourself that like, ooh, I don't know, maybe this is real. I remember the ARG that broke me, where like not broke me like, oh, I'm so terrified, but the ARG that was like, all right, this is the millionth one of these that I've seen, and it's all the same shit, you know. It was this ARG where like they had this dude in a plague doctor's hat, and he had a light that was blinking here, and it was blinking Morse code, and it was like he was like holding it up like that so you could see the Morse code blinking, and you could do the whatever, you could do the you could do the calculation, the cipher, the whatever you would do it. You know. It was just like you know, it was just like you'd seen so many of those over the last like couple of years that it was just like, man, that sucks, dude. This fucking sucks. You suck. You suck for making this. And from that point on, I was like, oh, ARG, nah, I'm good. I want to see a real dead body in your ARG. If I don't see a real dead body in your ARG, it's bullshit and I don't like it. Not literally, of course. I don't ever want to see a dead body, but you get the point of what I'm saying. You shouldn't have too bad of an opinion of Gen Z. We were only raised by what we were seeing. I don't have a bad opinion of Gen Z. I actually think Gen Z is better off than Gen X and the millennials. I think you guys are better off in a couple of different ways. You guys so far have not fallen into some of the pitfalls that my generation fell into with the whole Kekistan thing, the whole fighting Antifa thing. As fun as all that was, it didn't accomplish anything, and it only drove us back further. It only pushed us back further from where we wanted to be, you know. The Zoomers and now Gen Alpha are doing a much better of not giving in to all the bullshit that we see in the world today than what's it called? Everybody else, you know, like Boomers, Gen Alpha. Oh, something's going on with I would assume yeah, there was some kind of I'm on the fish tank site, and I noticed that there was a noise coming from it, and I saw the headphones thing was still going, so I was like, oh, you could hear that. But overall, I think Zoomers and I think Gen Alpha are doing a lot better for themselves in multiple ways. They're not hitting the same pitfalls that we did, both ideologically as well as with the praxis that they utilize. You know, the way that they live out. Excuse me, the world that they want. Um, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing for them. You know. If anything, I weep for them because they don't know what they lost. They don't know what was lost a lot of the time. You know, specifically those younger Zoomers. Because me, 94, like I think the cutoff for millennial is like 95. And it's like, well, given the nature of how generations are defined, like that cutoff is kind of arbitrary. You could say someone born in 97 is a millennial, kind of. You know, someone born in like 2000, 2001, yeah, I'd say that's a Zoomer, but it's an older Zoomer. So they can, depending on if they were born in like 99, depending on how much supervision they had when they were younger, they may have understood some things that the millennials were very familiar with on a more intimate basis, you know. But they're still Zoomers. They're still very much Zoomers. Um, you know, you have like you know, it is what it is. The bottom line is like, especially those younger Zoomers and all of Gen A, they don't understand what was lost. They don't understand what they missed out on. And like on one hand, that's not the worst thing in the world. At the very least, they don't have to worry about it anymore. But then on the other hand, it's like, man, like if only you guys knew, you know? If only you guys if you guys knew really firsthand what you lost out on, Gen Z and Gen A would fix everything in a heartbeat, you know? Excuse me. Friday night, Alex with 40% of the viewers he had yesterday sucks. Well, I mean, it's kind of because it's Friday night, isn't it? You know? Friday night's all right for a fight. I have a question. Does everybody have this? Does everybody have this module on there? I'm just curious about that. Meaning the stream module. When you go on Fish Tank, do you have the stream module on your thing? Oh shoot! Thank you very much, Zach, for the $100 of for fish tokens. Thank you very much, Zach. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Nope, not me. Nope. Yeah, so I have that, but it seems like it's just an empty thing because when I click it, uh, well, something happens. Something happens, but a stream key doesn't pop up. I'll say that much. You know. So that's a bit of that's a bit of a strange one. It's a bit of a strange one. You know. Uh, it's like I said, I didn't plan on streaming on the site, but I just happened to be talking about streaming on the site and how I do find it interesting, and I like how when I do stream there, it feels like I don't have to be like scared about like saying the wrong thing or whatever, you know. Um, and you know, I just happened to see that stream module, and I was like, oh, interesting, you know. It's fish only, I think. Magic stars, yeah. Oh man. But I should probably get out of here. It's been about 2.5 hours. I'm having a good time. All right. Yeah. When I say get out of here, I'm gonna get out of here in like a minute. I'm not, you know, I'm not saying I'm leaving right this second. But if anybody has anything they want to say before I do get out of here. If anybody has anything to say before I get out of here, if anybody has anything to say before I get out of here, definitely say it because I'd love to talk about another topic real quick if it comes down to it. You know, that's why I do these things. That's why I enjoy them. Is because I wanna do stuff like this. You know. Um, you were way more PC than Bert, so I don't think that's the problem. LOL. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think that's the problem. You know. what's it called? I think Bert is a driver of content because at the end of the day, as much as a lot of the people in the fish tank world want to be like actually gay sex, especially black dudes are like degenerate. Like a lot of people want to be like that, but at the end of the day, they also want to treat Bert like he's a pet, like he's their pet or something like that, you know? They want to like fuck around and like be quirky about it and stuff like that, you know? It's the duality of man, if you will. What was I gonna say? But yeah, that's you know that's why they're letting Bert stream on there. Um, but yeah, I was less talking about like why am I not allowed to stream on there? Like I haven't asked to stream on there or anything like that. I bet if I asked, they'd let me. Um, but I was more so talking about why I enjoy streaming on there. Is because I don't feel like I have to worry about it as much. Um, how much you bench? Not a lot. I don't do barbell bench. I do dumbbell bench. Dumbbell press. And it's not like a pure bench. I either do like overhead press or I do some kind of like incline press, like a military press or something like that. I'll use like 45-pound dumbbells right now. My arms are getting bigger. My arms are definitely like bigger than they used to be. No homo showing you my arms and shit like that. There's just more mass there. They're not the most defined, but I've definitely put on mass on the muscles, a little bit on the shoulders, the muscles, the biceps, the triceps, a little bit on the shoulders, and then the pecs. I've definitely put on muscle there, like no doubt. Um, I'm happy. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. The cartel is gonna find me if they find out about this live stream. Says Scratch Coast. That's all right, bud. You're safe here. We ain't gonna tell them shit, Scratch Coast. Um, Benjamin Young says I miss streaming on Fish Tank. Yeah, me too, man. Tone asks what's in my inventory right now. I don't know. I never do the inventory thing. I have 21 out of 12 spaces filled. I have 2 Chris Lynches, some electronic scrap, some stone, old poker chips, silver coin, wooden plank, a pocket knife, a knight helmet, a Nagant revolver, a bonfire, the Duke spike, blue grave rose, soda pop, empty potion bottle, Lil Majock, famous house sign, a chandelier, ceiling fan, antique grandfather clock, vintage rug, and a virtual ball. A virtual ball is what I got. That's what I got in my shit right now. Um, Can't wait for congregated. Yes, that's gonna be next week, is it not? Like late next week or something like that. I'll have to tune in for some of that. Like $300 in coins worth of stuff. Oh yeah, why can I sell that shit for coins? Because if I can sell that shit for fish tokens, I will. It's just like I don't know what to do with it. So. Plus, I don't know who's gonna buy it for fish tokens and stuff like that. That's probably a few hundred tokens worth of stuff. I bet after Magic Stars underperforms, they'll take anyone doing anything. I don't think Magic Stars is underperforming right now. I think it's about what you would expect for the off season. I mean, 1,400 viewers. I don't think you usually would have 1,400 viewers online right now. So this is a good placeholder where you got 350 people watching Alex on a Friday night. You got 261 people watching Bert on a Friday night. You got another I guess 31 people are watching Angelina Static on a Friday night, and then 30 people watching Rachel. Like, that's not bad numbers to just have on your website. Just like your technically backwater website that like most people don't even know exists in the first place. That's not bad. I don't I wouldn't say Magic Stars is failing or is going to fail. Like, obviously, eventually people are going to get sick of it. They're not going to care anymore, you know? But that's just what happens with everything, you know? So they're going to have to pivot into something else. It is what it is, you know? What you going to do? Oh, there is a wet market. Okay, I'll have to check that out. People will pay more because it's yours. Oh yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna have to sell that shit. What? Oh, sell. Uh, what am I fucking sell? I'm gonna sell a wooden plank for starting bid. We're gonna do 20 fish tokens. I don't know what the buyout price is supposed to be. We're gonna put 500 fish tokens as the buyout price. I would assume the buyout price means the buy it now price, kind of like eBay, you know. All right, fuck it, let's go for it. Ah. All right, cool. Let's do it. Let's do it. It's not sustainable unless they cut their team to nothing. Luke is begging for consoles on X. It's a weird time. Hopefully those houses sell soon. Luke isn't part of Fish Tank in the way that other people are part of Fish Tank. Granted, I wasn't always at the Fish Tank house in the first place, but I've only seen Luke at the Fish Tank house one time. I know he's been there recently, but that's probably because it takes more than just like Jet, Ben, and Chip and Mince and Majok to clear out that entire property. It's not just one giant house. It's one giant house. Then there's a guest house with a garage full of shit. Then there's a wood shop full of shit, you know? So it was probably all hands on deck trying to get everything packed up so that when they do try to put it on the market and they do sell it and all that other stuff, they're going to be able to get their shit together. But like, you know, Luke is not like Fish Tank and MDE are two separate things. There's a lot of overlap there, but you know, like and this isn't like behind the scenes lore or anything like that. I think this is just obvious based off of the way things seem to function given who's around when, you know. Fish Tank and MDE are two separate things. You don't see all the guys who are currently involved in MDE Com 98 or whatever, you know, Sam is calling it nowadays, who are also involved in Fish Tank. There's very much like, all right, this guy's a Fish Tank guy and this guy's an MDE guy. And, like, you know, they'll help each other out and stuff like that. Sam, as the CEO of both companies, he'll be like, all right, you know what you're going to do today? You're going to go to the Fish Tank house. You're going to help out with this thing, you know? But the companies are different. And I have not seen dudes like, say, Alex Luke or, Luke or you know, anybody else like Alex Schultz, you know. I haven't seen any of those dudes going down to the Fish Tank house just to chill or for like just regular duty or anything like that, you know. So yeah. Um uh Ever do a fitness stream? I've done a fitness stream once. I did a stream where I was hitting the bag. I could do another one of those soon. I could definitely do another one of those soon. We'll see. We'll see how it goes though. It could grow as a streaming platform, and like I don't think that's their vision for it. I don't think they want it to just be a streaming platform. I mean, obviously they don't, but you know, you never know what it might grow into, you know. Well, time goes on, you know, things kind of shift around here and there. Um all right. Anyway, um jeez. I'm going to head out. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. This was a really good stream. I had a really good time. we're gonna figure out more things to do. Like I said, I want to do a giveaway. I'm probably gonna do a giveaway soon, maybe like a Amazon gift card, or maybe some nudes or something like that. Maybe send you guys some bath water. We'll do something like that. I don't know though. I just want to do something nice. I want to do something fun. So yeah, I am going to head out. All right. Thank you guys. The next stream is going to be Sunday. It's going to be a little bit later than usual because, like I said, I have church, so I'm going to have to push it back a little bit. But I will be streaming Sunday. So tune in. It'll probably be around like 8 o'clock, I would assume. If not, maybe 7. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Thank you guys. All right. And excuse me. Till next time. Peace out.